For nearly 65 years, NASCAR has held its premier race right here in Daytona Beach, Florida. And over the past 5 years, the growth of sim racing has provided an opportunity and a demand for us to do the same, to put on a premier race every year at the start of the year that serves essentially as sim racing's Super Bowl, sim racing's World Series, whatever you want to call it. And in this event, we are calling it the Great American Sim Race. Welcome in, everyone. It's Daytona International Speedway, and it's night 2 of the PGR 500. We welcome you in high above the virtual World Center of Racing as we get you prepared for night number 2 of our action in this week's events leading up to Sunday afternoon's feature event, the first annual PGR 500. My name is Dawson Wise. I'll be bringing you through all 3 heats tonight. So glad that you've decided to join me here this evening as we get into the next portion of this event. Last night, chaos, desperation, intensity. Some big names did not make it past the initial stages, some holding on to a thread of hope going into the night here tonight. And as we get started, I'll introduce my first co-host tonight. You'll hear 2 different co-hosts with me tonight, the first of which now joins me in the broadcast booth for heat number 3. That is going to be a man that you actually saw race last night and race his way into Saturday afternoon's LCQ race, a man that ran up front quite a bit, and will be racing again in that later portion of the race, trying to make the feature event. And that is none other than Landon Velicki. And Landon, look, a unique perspective for you as we get started. You've already been on track. You've already seen this action up close and personal. Kind of go through how you're feeling about these 3 heats now that you're off the track. Kind of get to relax a little bit, if you will. But tell us what you're expecting for the drivers here in the next 3 heats.
Honestly, I was surprised it was not as chaotic as I was expecting last night. It seemed pretty easy. Yes, we had some help. Was working with some guys here and there, and it didn't seem easy. I won't say that, but if you can get up front, kind of stay in the top 5, you have a solid shot at just keeping your position, just so long as the people behind you cooperate, which we highly doubt will actually happen here tonight. But in terms of the racing, like I said, it hasn't been chaotic, and usually, as we see in the NASCAR duel races, you know, the first duel could be the crazy one, and the next one would be calm, or vice versa. Well, so far they've been relatively calm for what we are used to. So we might have some craziness and chaos here tonight, and that's fully what I expect considering some of the names that we have in these heats.
Well, absolutely, certainly looking forward to it. We'll mention again, we'll kind of go back if you were not watching last night or if you've not recalled the format for this event. We'll start first with qualifying, and that's what's on track right now. as they do in Daytona in February, as the NASCAR Cup Series will do here in a couple weeks. The front row qualifiers, the first and second place qualifiers, that's the prime pole position, the Apex Racing Society outside pole position, are going to lock their way into Sunday afternoon's PGR 500 throughout the heats this week. That's going to last until after tomorrow's final 8th heat race. The top 2 overall of 240 qualifiers will make it in. As it stands tonight, last night's 2 qualifiers that are currently on the front row, Alex Coffey from Heat 2 with a 49.110 and Matthew Baker with a 49.114 stand as the front row. Here's the catch. As it stands, if those two, either of them, are knocked off the front row tonight or tomorrow night, they'll be eliminated from the PGR 500 as a whole, as neither completed a run worthy of racing on Saturday if those qualifying times end up being outside the top 2. So a very interesting storyline to watch. A bit of a time crunch here, so we'll get into the format for the heat races as well. Here's the breakdown. 13 overall drivers of the 30 you will see on track tonight are going to make it into Saturday afternoon's events. The top 5 tonight, 1st through 5th, will race in Saturday evening's dual races that will set the 42 to 43 car field for the PGR 500 on Sunday. From there, 6th through 13th, that's a total of 8 cars. P6 through P13 will race in early Saturday's Last Chance Qualifier races, which will take place earlier in the afternoon. Those guys will have to run a bit of a gauntlet to make it into the race, but at least your race will continue from there. 14th on back, going to be eliminated. Landon, the pressure's on. In this kind of format, you know, there's so much high nerves to make a desperation move. You want to stay in the event, but one mistake can happen, like happened to Matthew Baker last night, and your whole dream of this event can come crashing down.
Oh, well, 100%. And I mean, when we talk from a personal perspective, that almost very nearly happened to me about a football field's link towards the start-finish line last night. Luckily, I was able to transfer through to the LCQ with a 9th place finish, but you don't want to be there, especially when you're in the top 5 the entire race. It can go from bad to good and very good to very ugly very, very quickly. And a lot of these guys are going to be having to deal with that stress, like you mentioned, going in and have to run the gauntlet like some of us, those of us 6 through 13 in yesterday's heats, me being one of them, have to do that gauntlet, go through the LCQs, then the duels, then the feature. It's definitely a lot of work to try and work your way through all of these events and continue forward, keep yourself alive, and survive through all of this. And I'll be honest, I was just looking at the heat that we have right here and right now. It's going to be a fun one to watch considering these names. And we got like with a Wyatt Tinsley, Daniel Eberhardt, Christopher McCullough already at the front of the field. And these are some guys that we really need to keep an eye on. And I will say it hasn't boded too well for the guys that have qualified first in their heat so far or on the front row. Like you mentioned, Baker did not finish in a transferring position, is barely hanging on by a thread, as is Alex Coffey. And right now, Wyatt Tinsley, actually, breaking news, looking at these times, Matthew Baker is officially out of the PGR 500. Wyatt Tinsley has beaten his time with a 49.112. So Alex Coffey's still alive, and now Tinsley currently alive in 2 sort of ways here. It's super fun to watch, and I'm definitely looking forward to it up here with you.
Well, you really segued it well into our starting grid. Here we go. PGR 500 heat race number 3. The grid is on track, and we are ready to get underway. We'll do so with introducing the 30 men that will contest heat number 3. On the pole, and now provisionally, the outside pole sitter for Sunday's PGR 500. It's eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver Wyatt Tinsley, who will be the Mobil 1 Toyota Camry tonight. To his outside, it's D3, Daniel Eberhardt in the number 90 machine. On row number 2, Chris McCullough from McCullough Motorsports. He'll roll from 3rd with Chris Melton. In the Wagner's Welding Ford Mustang, he'll roll from position number 4. Row 3, it'll be Caden Diedrich in the 24. It'll be Jacob Emery to his outside in position number 6 in the 21. Row 4, it's Jason Maines, a veteran super speedway racer in the 12 machine, and Josh Watson will line up 8th in the 01. Row 5, and rounding out the top 10, it's another Coca-Cola iRacing Series competitor. It's Zach Novak in the 05, and alongside him, it's Anthony Trippi in the 84.
James Wagner will be taking the race tonight from P11 for the R&R group. Sean Rogers behind him. Andrew Harris 13th. Nathan Rostisel for Team PGR 14th. Tanner Kasinger in 15th. Dude Conrad 16th. DJ Thomas 17th. David Giusti in 18th. Larry McDonald in 19th. And Rodney Pitcock in 20th position.
Quickly moving down the rest of the field. It's actually only going to be 28 cars on track. On row 11, excuse me, on row 11, Brandon Sox in the 34 will line up alongside George Duel in the 10 machine. Row 12, Julian Ricky in the 97, and Raul Alvis, another apt super speedway racer in the 51. He'll roll from 24th. Preston Alexander will roll from 25th in the car number 25. James Johnston in position number 26 in car number 14. And rounding out the field on row 14, it's J.R. Miller in the 78 and Jeff Scott in the 38. We'll now get into your race info before we get underway here tonight. It's 30 laps in the NASCAR Cup Series race cars. And we get ready to go. 100% fuel load. No pit stop to worry about tonight. Unlimited tires. You don't have to worry about that either. The most important part, a fast repair available for these drivers in the pits tonight if they were to get in an incident. It's fixed setup. One attempt at a green, white checkered, and last night, notably, we used the overtime in both heat races and was allowed to run out despite incidents in the back of the field. We'll get to that rule more as we need it. Here we go. 3 more heat races on tap here this evening from Daytona in PGR 500 racing. We're going to set a little bit more of the field here tonight in this race, and we're so glad that you've decided to come along for the journey with us here live on PGR eSports. The pace car will take the hard left turn. It's a total of 30 laps. 5 guys making it to the duels. 8 more will race on to Saturday afternoon's LCQ. From there, everybody else goes home. Green flag is in the air. We are racing in heat race number 3. Down the Daytona Super Stretch for the first time tonight. And it's a big block topside. Wyatt Tinsley to the nose of Chris McCullough in the 04, who was able to get up there off the bottom. On the bottom now leading, it's Caden Diedrich in the 24 machine with Jason Maines in tow. On back, guys trying to find their rhythm, guys trying to find a spot in line and start to think about some moves on the way forward. But for now, it's pretty calm and collective. But look out back. Tanner Kasinger, the first to move to the middle as lap 2 is on the board.
Tell you what, I'm going to assume that Wyatt Tinsley and Caden Diedrich are working together in this event here tonight, considering in the last PGR, one of the last PGR races in the next-gen car, Wyatt Tinsley indeed pushed Caden Diedrich to the win in that one. And right now, they're leading both of the lines. 3 pretty large threats leading the top right now in Tinsley, McCullough, and Eberhardt. Caden Diedrich, Jason Maines, the veteran down there on the bottom. A little bit calm right now, a little bit of 3 wide in the back, but so far so good heading into turn 4.
And here comes the bottom. It's Diedrich alongside the push of Jason Maines, and kind of interesting, and we alluded to it last night. We're alluding to it already tonight. Oh, man, big move to the top there for Caden Diedrich, but it's something we alluded to a little bit last night, and it's how aggressive would the side draft be early in the race, and, man, excuse me, so far, not very. Daniel Eberhardt did some right there, as you see Chris Melton go to the middle, but for the most part, Tinsley, McCullough, Diedrich, they want to stay up on the wall. They don't want to be too aggressive early in this race. Well, as I say that, there goes D3 at the bottom. Daniel Eberhardt at the bottom on the push now of Jason Maines. For the most part, though, it's a lot of lane changing, but it's not a lot of 3 wide. A few guys have tried it. Really no dice for the middle, and that's a common theme that we saw last night as well.
Yeah, Dieter is able to clear up, and Eberhardt making that move down. Going to trust Jason Maines in the number 1 machine, try and push him up to the lead. They got a little bit of a run down there on the bottom. It's most likely not going to be good enough. When you have that duo of Diedrich and Tinsley together, going to come down, side draft that bottom lane, park them on the bottom, and keep their momentum rolling up on the top side. But still just a lot of 2x2 out backs. Kind of the same tune that we dealt with last night. A little bit calm starting this event. People know what stakes there are to deal with here tonight, and they're just going to take it easy for a little bit, but we know good and well the intensity is going to ramp up. It's going to ramp up quick. Eberhardt to the lead out of 2.
And the field roars again down the super stretch. You get a nice wide camera as that camera flies down the super stretch at about the same speed the cars do. Up the banking again, it's Eberhardt on the push of Maines. Diedrich still up top with Tinsley, and from there it's pretty much calm as can be, as Landon was talking about a second ago, but now some more 3 wide. And again, it's Tanner Kasinger. Again, a guy I kind of focused on in the lead up to this race, and you mentioned him as well in the open. A guy that's run well, very bold, a guy that's run around some of the best in the business in this next-gen car. If anyone knows their way to the front of a field in a super speedway race, it would be a guy like Tanner Kasinger. We'll talk about some of the other notable names at the front. How about Jacob Emery, the Jordan Toyota up on the top side. Bottom side, some guys are starting to come to the front now. Sean Rogers +6. Further back, Nathan Rostisil, Raul Alves, Brandon Sox all on the move, trying to make something happen. Again, you got to be 13th. Right now, it's Anthony Trippi. But with 25 to go, that spot will change hands 3, 4, 5 dozen times between now and the end of the race. Look at, man, 3 wide, 8 rows back. Back there around the Anthony Trippi machine, right around the transfer spot. It's getting heated early.
It definitely is. Eberhard had a look at getting clear of Caden Dieterich coming out of turn 2 with a great push from Jason Maines. The 24 and the 20 duo up top got a little bit separated. Jason Maines with a huge run. Eberhard was not able to take it, though, and now Dieterich's still going to be the leader. We are seeing the 3 wide start to begin in the back. The 84 and Kasinger behind him. James Wagner up there leading the top, trying to take some right rears if he's able. Raul Alves, the always aggressive number 51 machine, definitely someone to be watching out for, too, followed by Larry McDonald. Now we actually have some 3 wide racing out here. Eberhard's going to clear up to the middle lane. He's going to trust them to try and push him a little bit more forward. Jason Maines now kind of stranded down there on the bottom.
It's a tandem draft for Daniel Eberhard and Zach Novak, one of the names to watch in this third heat, and they are really, really connected well now. Look at this run all the way to the front. They may go all the way to the lead by themselves in a tandem here, but the help has gone away. That's Jason Maines. A little further back from them, Sean Rogers as well. But that help has fallen off. That tandem's going to run out. The top lane is going to prove supreme, and now you see Dietrich come down. He's going to side draft. Tinsley stays home, and Dietrich may get caught here. That's a mistake from Caden Dietrich, but lucky for him, he'll be able to bail to the bottom and find a spot in line. Or will he? Here comes Jason Maines. He's going to get turned. Jason Maines around to the back of the field. It's the 12 that will go sideways, but he saves the race car and keeps it going. He'll keep it clean and
heading into turn 3. Big crash heading into turn 3 right here. Big one. Dude, Conrad over into the catch fence. James Wagner got hooked from the outside line, and we already have big one number 1 in heat number 3.
And we saw it start to happen back there around Dude Conrad, and actually missed it as we were going to Jason Maines there, but let's take a look a little further back in the field at what occurred to bring out the first caution flag of the night in heat number 3. Again, this is kind of started up front, the Jason Maines incident. As Dietrich gets back down, Maines hops on the brakes, and I think it's going to start a bit of a stack up that gets all the way back through Trippi, through Melton, through Scott, and all the way back here to Dude Conrad, and here comes Nathan Rostisil. Nathan Rostisil. And does Rostisil get into Dude Conrad? Oh, man, does it start further up in front? I believe it does. And, yeah, wow, it does. And it's the James Wagner machine for Wagner's Welding for R&R. Oh, man, it starts way up front here. So let's go back a little even further. It's Raul Alves, a guy you talked about a moment ago. It's on the back bumper of James Wagner. And when that top lane checks up, when Novak and Eberhard go to the safer barrier and get up, the top lane checks up, and Raul Alves gets into the back of James Wagner, gets him out of shape, and turns him sideways. Boy, that's as close as can be for Larry McDonald in the Ohio State Mustang Dark Horse, but he gets past it, and Wagner's going to lock him up, comes back up. Dude Conrad, innocent bystander, Nathan Rostisil, DJ Thomas. Oh, man, a wild ride for Dude Conrad in the 8 machine as he gets up and over. The first man we've seen up and over this week is the 8 of Dude Conrad, and he slides all the way on the banking. See him turning the wheel there. Not sure how effective that's going to be when you're rolling upside down. And you see Rostisil can't get off of him either. So a tough break. We'll take another look at it. Again, it starts up near Raul Alves and James Wagner in the 30. You see Jason Maines off there. We kind of caught that one as it happened. But this one starts up around James Wagner. Here's going to be a good visual to check up. You see they're on the brakes, on the brakes, on the brakes, and here comes Alves, and he just taps the back of the 30 and gets him out of shape, and then as they try to correct and get back in line, you see Alves hit the brakes there. When he tries to get back in line, he's already on the left rear quarter panel of James Wagner. A tough break for the 30, but an even tougher break here for Conrad, Thomas, and Rostisil. Completely innocent. Wagner can't hold it down on the apron, and he collects a few innocent cars in the back, and this is a story we saw a lot last night, Landon, where Rex maybe started in the front and collected some guys further back that were trying to ride and hang out, if you will, in quotes, and just wait until later in the race. Unfortunately, even that cannot always be safe at Daytona.
No, definitely not. And when you have an event such as this with the checkups, having to predict those in front of you, and with some people just have different timers in their own head, you know, when to let off, when to brake, when to continue if there's a checkup in front of them. That's what causes a lot of these things. Like James Wagner, in my opinion, he didn't really do anything wrong here. He just was a victim of the checkup, and It ended up catching Raul Alves off guard, spinning him down the track. And I will give James credit. He was trying. He was locking the brakes up, trying to avoid getting into the rest of the pack heading into turn 3, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough for the rest of them, and it ends up with Dude Conrad on his roof, which is a wild ride for him. And then Nathan Ross is still absolutely nowhere to go in the '08 machine. Just a tough break early. You know, we haven't had a caution, at least from my recollection of yesterday. We very well might have. I just don't remember. But it was clean to begin with, and I mean, even this race was clean to begin with. We just had 2 incidents out of nowhere, but the man that this bailed out the most was Jason Maines, who got spun on the backstretch, and then literally a few seconds later, the big one strikes. Now Jason Maines is still going to be in contention.
Took a couple onboard shots there with Dude Conrad and also with Nathan Rosticel through a wild ride through that wreck into turn number 3. As we head back live, as my voice continues to fail me tonight, as we head back live, we'll get reset now, 20 laps to go. And if you'll remember back, these guys do have a fast repair in the pits. They do have an opportunity here to go down to the pit lane, get some damage fixed, or even beyond that, take a fast repair in the case of Dude Conrad there, who is still running, but he needed the fast repair in the 8 machine, and maybe even Nathan Rosticil, who may have even called it a night back in the 28th position. They do have a reset, if you will. I hate to use that term, but that's essentially what it is. You get a mental reset of your race, you get a physical reset of your car, and you've still got plenty of time. The next-gen cars, plenty of opportunities here to make runs. You talk about a guy like Tanner Kasinger, who's now, he's actually down a spot, but was trying to make runs, but like Jeff Scott plus 12, Julian Ricky plus 12, J.R. Miller plus 18, Zach Novak plus 7. You can gain positions and gain them quickly in 20 laps. Plenty of opportunity to do that.
Yeah, 100%. I will point out also that Nathan Rosticil is still in contention, albeit 1 lap down. It appears that he had to tow his car away and get his service with that fast repair. So he's going to need another lucky break getting a yellow. I do believe he's probably going to get that break. He is the only car a lap down right now, and I doubt we're done with the yellow flags tonight. But up front, it's all Eberhardt and Novak. A very strong combo with Tinsley, McCullough behind them. Some strong names up here currently locking out the top 4. At least these guys are going to be pretty tough to beat as long as they actually cooperate with each other and don't get bigger heads than they need to right now and go for a win, go for a P2 or something. If these guys just keep themselves safe, they know they should have a very good shot at automatically transferring themselves into Saturday night's duels.
20 laps to go at Daytona in heat number 3. It's a good launch for Daniel Eberhardt as the green flag comes back out. Not as good a launch for his help, though, in Wyatt Tinsley. A little further back as well. Another couple cars on the bottom did not really get the memo there. Well, but now Zach Novak does. Novak's in line. Tinsley on the bottom, kind of in no man's land now. He's got not much help behind him. His help has jumped out of line. Let's see if Tinsley's allowed a spot in by Caden Diedrich, and he is. These are 2 guys that know each other very well. Diedrich and Tinsley have run together in the past. In fact, if you'll remember back, if you do tune into our Thursday night races, Wyatt Tinsley pushed Caden Diedrich to his first ever PGR eSports sanctioned victory a few weeks ago in this very car. So the chemistry obviously notable, and there they go to the bottom. It's Tinsley followed by Diedrich. Now, how much help out behind them? And you see Chris McCullough and Josh Watson, apt next-gen racers. They immediately went down for the side draft. They saw the run. The 2 leaders, though, they stay put. That's going to allow at least Tinsley to get to the lead. Diedrich going to try to come with him. With no help on the bottom, it's going to be tough sledding out back. 3 wide. Oh, trouble! Right as we went back there, it's Anthony Trippi. More cars involved. Kasinger, the 4 of David Giusti, the 34 of Brandon Sox, and the second wreck, and now more trouble right up in front of these guys as James Johnston and Preston Alexander come together in front of the second incident in quick succession with 19 laps to go in heat number 3. We'll go back and check it. We actually got back here right as it started and right as I caught at 3 wide racing around Chris Melton in the 52. Let's go back and take a look, and you see it happening already. We'll have to back this up a little bit further. Melton makes a move to the middle that no one goes with him, or maybe is it a little bit more than that? And it's actually going to be more than that. So Anthony Trippi gets pushed alongside the Melton machine. They are 3 wide and maybe didn't mean to be 3 wide right here. And Melton, unfortunately, has to drop down the middle. He thinks about going to the bottom. He can't go down there either. And does he try to get back in line? Nope, hangs at middle. We're all good here. So how does this start? Melton trying to come back up. Oh, man, Chris Melton. I'm not sure if maybe a bad call from a spotter there, but he is coming up the racetrack and gets in the left rear of Anthony Trippi, who was well alongside him. Not sure what happened there, a miscommunication of some kind. Julian Ricky involved. The 87 of Andrew Harris involved also. There's Giusti getting a piece. He almost got up and over, almost 2. Rollover crashes. 10 laps into heat number 3 after none yesterday. Trippy comes back down. Casinger comes back down. And I'll tell you this much. Landon. Not much damage on any of these cars. Even Preston Alexander and James Johnson, who you'll see right here, this is the secondary incident. As they come in, not a ton of damage on any of these race cars unless there is suspension damage. But cosmetically, everybody got away pretty well okay. It looks like a miscommunication up front. Maybe a bad clear call from a spotter there.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned not a lot of damage. I was on board with Tanner Casinger in that because it looked like he took a pretty hard lick into the outside wall, nose first. Usually that would expire the engine on one of these cars, but it sounds like he's all good. No need to tow that car. He might not even have to use a fast repair. Like you said, not a lot of cosmetic damage, but the problem with the next-gen cars is it's extremely easy to break wheels, break suspensions off of them. We saw it with Dude Conrad earlier when he was on his roof, even though that was obviously a way harder hit, but you could see that's usually what happens with the wheels and suspensions. They start wiggling around and they're all out of alignment, not going straight. That's the worry for a lot of these guys right now, but guys like Casinger, I'm looking at Giusti right now, they look okay. They probably don't even need to take their fast repair right now. Maybe Giusti with a little bit of left front wheel damage potentially, but other than that, I mean, like you said, I guess this is going to be the chaotic one like we were mentioning in the open. Yesterday's went pretty smoothly so far. Getting a little bit crashy here about halfway through the race.
Take another couple looks at this before we go back to green flag racing. We'll try to get high above this one and kind of look through this. And, you know, on the part of Melton here, if he stays middle, I think he's got some help coming. Julian Ricky, Andrew Harris, it's almost for sure committed to the middle here. And Melton's got some help coming, and he turns up the hill. And Trippy's there. And Trippy, an innocent bystander here, as he had made the pass on Chris Melton, and he just gets spun, nowhere to go for James Wagner. Excuse me, that might be Jeff Scott. They're all in a similar paint scheme, but that is Jeff Scott. Nowhere to go for Casinger or Giusti. The 36 machine may be involved as well to a degree. And that car is not showing up on timing and scoring, so we'll have to figure out who exactly that machine is. But for these guys involved, it's a tough break. We'll take one more look. We'll go just on board with the Anthony Trippy machine. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So look at how far back he is of Melton when they come off turn 4. And now watch the run he's going to get to the 52. And at that point, if you slow down, there's a chance you get run over from behind. He takes the run, and he's well alongside the 52. And then all of a sudden, you got a view of the infield there as he gets spun. David Giusti, Tanner Casinger coming in. You're going to see the other two cars actually come in right off the front bumper as Preston Alexander and James Johnston get involved as well. So the second caution flag of the night, 16 to go. We're at the halfway point of heat number 3. And another smaller incident towards the back of the field has brought these guys to a halt again. Now the racing up front has been competitive so far. Not a lot of movement other than Zach Novak plus 8 positions right now. But back around that transfer spot, J.R. Miller in 9th plus 18. Larry McDonald in 10th plus 9. Julian Ricky plus 12 in 11th position. And Jeff Scott plus 16 and 12. And even Rodney Pitcock in the 28 plus 8 positions now. These guys that are in the transfer spots have benefited from incidents, but have also gotten more comfortable. And now we're starting to realize, okay, if I want to get into the race, I've got to start to move forward. They're doing that now. With 15 laps to go, landing a bit of a reset here mentally if you're a driver. You were kind of in this position last night where at one point you were out of the transfer position, you were outside the top 13, and you kind of had to say, all right, I got to go forward. What did that preparation look like? What did the thought process look like coming back to the green flag?
It's honestly more of kind of a natural kind of sense in you, just like watching the lines, what you predict, what line is going to move forward. It's all about kind of predicting in this car, usually all sort of racing it is. You just have to keep your eyes ahead of you, watch the runs as they develop, look at the people around you, see if you can trust them to be a good pusher, be a good pushee. It's honestly, it's kind of a flip of a coin when it comes to just what line you should be in and everything. It's just, there's a little bit of luck kind of involved, but as long as you understand the runs and understand momentum in these cars, you will go places. I'll tell you what my eyes are on right now. Daniel Eberhardt's on the bottom, but behind him is Wyatt Tinsley and Caden Dieterich together. Do you think halfway through the race, are they going to try and split out Daniel Eberhardt? I really don't know. Daniel Eberhardt's a former Coke Series driver himself. That's someone that, who knows? We don't know the relationship with these guys. We're about to find out what these two are going to do.
Green flag back in the air, 15 laps to go, halfway home in heat number 3. It's a great jump for Daniel Eberhardt. The Bass Pro Shops Camaro jumps from the bottom to the top and leaves those pair of quasi-teammates, shall we call them, for this event. On the bottom side on the double yellow line, they will tandem up. Not much help again. Same story as the last restart. Good tandem up front. Eberhardt and Novak, and that top line rolls in a big way. Now some help to the bottom side. Larry McDonald out back. Julian Ricky thought about it, jumps back in line. And kind of a bit of a straggle here between the field. And look at Tinsley, Diedrich, and McDonald with no help on the bottom. They have to jump in line. A massive loss of positions for Tinsley and Diedrich there as they have to go bottom to top, 8th in line. And the field works its way off turn number 4. And this looks like an old-style super speedway race. For a moment, we are logging laps at Daytona with 14 laps to go.
So strung out and so single file. The guys in the back need to sort themselves out quickly if they want to have any shot at transferring through, because right now the transfer spot is the 34 Hooters machine of Brandon Sox, and he's in this second pack, and these guys are now starting to race. It looks like they might have a shot, especially when you have Tinsley and Diedrich down there on the bottom, kind of side draft in the lead pack. But right now there's some strong separation. There's like 3 separate packs. The third pack, led by Tanner Kasinger, is starting to catch up. Jason Maines back there going around the damage number 97 of Julian Ritchie, but these guys need to sort it out, and they need to sort it out quick.
Well, here comes Kasinger, and almost trouble up in front of these guys. In the same pack, there is trouble, and it's right at the front with Larry McDonald in the 80 machine, who was in the lead pack. He spun around backwards along the wall. More cars getting involved on the inside line. Raul Alves in the 51. I believe it was also the 12. I thought it was Preston Alexander. It's not. It's a different car. I can't tell exactly which car that is that gets involved. Jason Maines involved as well. And now the third caution of the night comes out with 13 to go. This race, a lot messier than the ones last night. It's Larry McDonald. He is trying to get it back rolling, but there is appears to be severe damage to that race car. Yeah, you can see the steering is clearly off for Larry McDonald, so he will have to limp around and take the fast repair. This was in that second group, I believe, and it was out behind the leaders. This is Larry McDonald. In behind him is Jeff Scott. And this was going into turn number 3. Scott's going to take a look to the bottom. Does he think better of it, perhaps? Yes, well, kind of hangs. Oh, does he go too late? Well, yeah, maybe a split second too late, I think, for the move there for Jeff Scott. I saw what he was trying to do, trying to jump on the nose of Jason Maines, and unfortunately makes the move a split second too late. And gets up into the outside safer barrier, takes Larry McDonald and Maines, and the 28 of Rodney Pitcock, and then Raul Alves gets turned on the bottom side by the 36. We'll go back and take a look at the secondary incident in a moment. We'll take another look here at the incident between Jeff Scott, Larry McDonald, Jason Maines, and Rodney Pitcock here in turn number 3. And this was that group we had talked about. The field had kind of split up into 3 individual packs, and this was the second of those groups. As we went to look at the third one, this breaks out here in the second one. And I mean, I'll be fully honest here, Landon. I understand this is a transfer spot, but this move does not benefit this second pack. What Jeff Scott is doing, they do need to get to the bottom, but jumping out, kind of parachuting the line is the term that a lot of us like to use, kind of slowing the momentum of both lanes, was not going to help them catch the leaders, and it was going to put all of them in danger of being passed by cars for those transfer positions. So Jeff Scott goes to make a move. It's a good move in theory. He makes it a split second too late. Jason Maines, that's a tough break for him. A guy you had just mentioned got the break he needed. Unfortunately, now is back behind the 8 ball. Now the secondary part of this is with Raul Alves, and it's the 51 who's also in this group, but it's after the initial wreck. You see Alves back here. What happens to him? He gets turned by one of the cars out back of him. I believe it might be George Jewell. And he goes for a big slide. Oh, does he get hit after the fact? Oh, man. It's a big hit there for one of those cars running back towards the tail end of the field. That is a really tough break as Alves slid back across and collects another couple more machines. Chaos again around the transfer position, flips the race on its head.
I'm honestly more confused than anything right now, because the move by Jeff Scott, it like you mentioned, is not beneficial to that group whatsoever. If anything, it hurts them. And then to kind of hesitate on the move in front of Jason Maines in the 1, now you're all just wrecked. And then a case of kind of arca breaking, I guess you could call it, in the back with Raul Alves getting hit later on. It's just confusing to me, and I'm sure it is for any other drivers that participate in this quite often, especially in these cars, because these cars are not difficult to understand. These cars have a system to them at the different spots, like spaces of the field. The front has a system to it. You can watch it's very rhythmic. The top line will come down, side draft, come back up. And if you're losing the pack, the leaders that are racing like that up front, the best thing you can do, you got to hook up, and you got to hook up fast in order to catch them, because it is extremely easy to lose the draft in these cars, considering how the side draft works in them. It's confusing to me. I'm not trying to dog the move by Jeff Scott whatsoever. It's just a confusing one. Maybe he saw an opportunity for his own best interest. Maybe he thought if the rest of this race went green, that was going to be the pack that was deciding who's going to make the LCQ, and he's going to make his move now. That could very well be what's going on in this. Not work out for him and Jason Maines, like you mentioned. Jason Maines is back out on the racetrack right now. He had to tow his car away. He's going to be at least one lap down here. That's what it's showing. Yeah, one lap down. Should be in the transfer position. Looks like Jeff Scott still is actually going to disconnect from the session. So tough break for Jeff Scott there. Jason Maines is still alive, albeit one lap down.
We'll quickly move now to what to expect and what is to come here later on tonight. A couple more heat races coming up right after this one. You see the start times there in the top, and also the list of drivers in those fields, and many, many notable names still to come. ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl defending champion Cody Nagels is in heat number 4, coming right up after this. Series owner Michael Triscaro, defending Coca-Cola iRacing Series champ Parker White is coming up as well, among many, many others. Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers such as Kevin Champagne and Podium 500 champion from last year Kyler Wynn, Coke Series driver Michael Cozy Jr., Michael Guest also in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Eddie Kerner from the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. A wild, wild list of names still to come. You will not want to miss a moment of the upcoming 2 heats. We still have some business to attend to here from Daytona, though, and it's 10 laps to go in this first of 3 heat races tonight. Green flag back in the air. Along goes Daniel Eberhardt, and again, it's a nice jump on the bottom as he'll get up in front of Wyatt Tinsley. Back down towards turn 1. Now on the bottom, Novak gets stuck this time. No dice getting up behind Daniel Eberhardt. He'll have Chris McCullough, though, one of the best pushers in the game, on the bottom side behind him. Same story, though, landing his last restart. No help on the bottom, and out back they start to jockey around those transfer spots.
They're jockeying around, and they're just not cooperating with each other right now. They're not in really danger of losing the draft right now. They're still well in the draft of the lead pack. There is a pack behind being led by Preston Alexander in the 12 machine that they're in danger of losing it, and they're not even connected. There's a damaged car pushing as the lead pusher right now on Preston Alexander. He is so far off of him. These guys are automatically going to lose the draft from this. Jason Maines is one of them. So is Larry McDonald. The back up front, the second group's kind of caught back up to the leaders right now. I'm looking at Tanner Kasinger kind of hanging back at the moment in the 88 machine. Needs a push right now so he doesn't lose it. He's starting to lose it back here. But we've got about 14 cars in the lead draft, which means 2 guys in the back, which right now are Anthony Trippi and George Jewell, will be fighting it out for the 13th and final transfer position.
Yeah, and as that group with Kasinger starts to lose the draft, they start to lose their hope of making the race as well. Bottom side starts to get a bit of a run now. Zach Novak on the push of Chris McCullough. Dude Conrad, also a very savvy veteran in this community. He's decided now's the time to hit the go button, and boy, are they coming forward quickly. Couple more cars out back. You see Eberhardt. He saw that run coming. He pulled down just a little bit. Thought about blocking the run. It was too much to overcome. At the line, we're 2x2 for the race lead, and now out back. More guys start to fight for the transfer positions. 8 laps to go. Eberhardt continues to lead. Tinsley is second. Novak fights with Diedrich for third. Remember, top 5 get into the dual race. That transfer is going to be just as important as the one back around 13th position. That position right now held by Anthony Trippi in the 84, who is up top alongside the Saver Barrier. He fights currently with DJ Thomas for 12th, and Julian Ricky would be the first man out of the race. Back down towards turn number 3. Eberhardt, Tinsley, Diedrich working very well together. They fended off the bottom. When do Tinsley and Diedrich decide now is the time to go? For now, they draw the line down to side draft, and that will kill the momentum of that bottom line led by Novak off turn 4.
There's a very real possibility that this just becomes a pack full of guys that are going to transfer. Julian Ritchie has some pretty severe nose damage in the 97 blue and black number Chevy right there. He I mean, he's caught back up, but he's in danger. He keeps kind of tailing off because of that damage. Not getting a good run is hurting him aerodynamically. Here he is with a run back. So it's still being fought out between Richie and Trippy, the 97 and the 84, on either line right here at the back of the field. Richie, he's going to have to overcome some adversity and keep that loud pedal pressed to the floor with the nose damage he has. But up front, it's still just some consistent racing by Daniel Eberhard. He's actually going to move down to the bottom, pull that bottom line up a little bit more forward, led by Zach Novak in the Bubba Wallace machine. Wyatt Tinsley's still coming up to push him. And once again, Tinsley and Dietrich are connected. And Dietrich, taking a look at the middle. He's not going to take it, think better of it. But those two are connected once again in the middle. I would expect a move to be made by the two of them on Daniel Eberhard at some point, probably for the win.
Well, they could ride and make the dual race. They don't have to go. Now, if it's a momentum thing, if it's a I just want to be in victory lane thing, and maybe you're not having cut a deal with Daniel Eberhard here at the front, then yeah, I would assume those two would try to go and win the race. But kind of we talked about the consequences of that last night, and that's you could go for the win if you want to, but if it doesn't work out, and we saw this with Matthew Baker last night, if it doesn't work and you get stuck, you can get put right behind the 8 ball and maybe not even make it out of this race at all. Now, the saving grace for Tinsley is that he ran a top 2 time, so even if he does get eliminated tonight, he will still have the backing, the safety blanket of his qualifying lap to try to kind of drop back on if he were to finish outside the top 13. Certainly does not look like that will be the case. But as these guys continue to run 2-3, if they take a look at the middle and it doesn't work, boy, you can go backwards in a hurry. Only 14 cars in the lead pack. As of right now, it's a battle between J.R. Miller and Julian Ricky for that last transfer position, which is the 13th spot. Everybody else in this pack, I know you want to go try to win the race, as Zach Novak does here on the bottom, but how much do you risk here when you know if you stay where you're at for the most part, besides one car, you're going to be racing on Saturday?
You're going to be racing on Saturday. You can go for the win whether you want to or not. Sure enough, it's a $60 bonus if you win the heat, but in doing so, going for $60, you could lose your opportunity of winning $2,000 on Sunday. So it's just what people's, I guess, what their goals are through this. They want to win everything they can, get as much money as they can through this event. Well, right now, that's looking like still going to be Daniel Eberhard up front. And I will say the dynamic has kind of changed in the back of the field. Julian Ritchie's now back up. And like you said, Anthony Trippi gained a position. J.R. Miller's now behind him, and a veteran in the 7018 PGR driver of J.R. Miller now at risk of losing out here, not even transferring to the LCQ. But currently he is in it. It's still Julian Ritchie with that caved-in nose in the number 97. He might need a miracle here, just considering how bad his damage is. He's really starting to lose the draft back here now on J.R. Miller. He's probably going to gain it back, but he's going to need something to go his way. There's 3 wide up front. Trippy making a move through the middle.
Yeah, here we go. The racing's on now as these 3 go to the middle. Novak will go to the middle as well. 4 cars, middle of the racetrack and coming to the front. Led by Zach Novak. He thought about going back to the bottom. He'll stick with the run here in the middle lane. Middle lane becoming a bit of an X factor now as we get into the final 3 laps. If we make it back to the white flag in a couple laps time, this race will be official, and this race will finish under the green flag. If not, we'll use our 1 overtime attempt. Jockeying for the 13th and final transfer spot. Novak brings Trippy now to the front. What a drive to the front for Anthony Trippy in the 84. Look at this push. He's giving Novak back to the start-finish line.
Absolutely insane tandem by Anthony Trippy, pushing Zach Novak to the lead with 2 laps to go. They're both going to be clear of Daniel Eberhard, and they're both going to move. Oh, Trippy not clear, hung out in the middle. Daniel Eberhard sat there, and he said, no, sir, Anthony Trippy. And now Anthony Trippy, all that work he just did, making it back to the front, is now, oh, what a move to the bottom, cutting off Julian Ritchie. But now Chris McCullough and Dude Conrad, the man that was on his roof early in the race, is now leading the bottom line.
Yeah, Dude Conrad, Chris McCullough come to the front as well, kind of benefit from a bit of a scramble there with Anthony Trippy. Now a few more guys further back, George Jewell and Josh Watson and Sean Rogers, guys that we thought were out just a few moments ago, are now very much in the fight, and not only the fight, but the fight for the duels. Coming back to the white flag, 1 lap to go, 2.5 miles to go at Daytona.
Chris McCullough still holding the lead. Zach Novak playing nice for now. Still sitting, pushing Christopher McCullough in the 04 machine. That bottom's dying out a little bit. Not a good connection down there with Dude Conrad, but now they're getting a little bit of a run. Daniel Eberhard's going to hop down. He wants to look at that win. Chris McCullough is going to go with him. Eberhard's going to be clear of Novak. It looks like he might have a shot. Not going to be enough. McCullough back to the top, out of 2.
Down the backstretch for the final time, Zach Novak to the middle. The 23 wants to go and nobody goes with him. He gets no help into 3 onto the banking for the final time. Novak finds a spot in line. Tinsley to the middle on McCullough. He brings Diedrich with him. There's the big move that we anticipated for heat number 3. It's a tandem drag race all the way home. Who's going to get the final spot into the race? At the line, Wyatt Tinsley wins heat number 3. And as we go back further, final transfer spot, it's DJ Thomas over Julian Ricky.
Yeah, I noticed it in turn 3 right there. Julian Ritchie, that nose damage was just killing him, and all the shuffling around is you can't really do much when you have that damage, and unfortunately he's going to be eliminated with the aerodynamic damage to the nose of him. But DJ Thomas, Zach Novak, Jakery Emery, all these guys, they made it a fun race to the finish and a clean one at that. I'm impressed.
It's a big win for Wyatt Tinsley, the Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver. Technically his first PGR sanctioned victory is in his heat race, and he will go right to duel number 1 on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And what a win it is for him. Daniel Eberhardt, a great drive for him. He had to kind of recover, but he'll get runner-up. And the storylines throughout the field that we're about to go through when we give you the finishing results here in just a moment. I mean, there's some serious storylines here on who's in and also on who is out of this race as we look forward to those Saturday races. Tinsley will burn it down in the Daytona logo in the grass. And as he parks there, we will await the finishing results and we will grab those and go through who's in and who's out. After heat race number 3, presented by Coasting Thunder, forgot to mention that, we'll mention it at the top of heat number 4. Wyatt Tinsley, victorious here in heat 3, a great finish at the end. Daniel Eberhardt comes back to finish second. It's Caden Diedrich that will finish in 3rd position. What a drive for Dude Conrad. He's in the dual race. He was upside down on his lid. He goes from upside down to racing on Saturday evening with a chance to make the PGR 500. A great drive for him. And it's Josh Watson that finishes in 5th, the final transfer into the dual races on Saturday evening. Here are the drivers that are going to the LCQs. I'll name off all 8 of them very quickly. George Jewell finishes in 6th. Chris McCullough makes it in. He'll go 7th. J.R. Miller finishes 8th with Anthony Trippi. A nice drive for him in 9th. Sean Rogers goes 10th. Jacob Emery 11th. Zach Novak in by the skin of his teeth in 12th. And the final transfer spot tonight, DJ Thomas back in 13th.
And unfortunately, the list of guys that will not be continuing on in this week's PGR 500 festivities: Julian Ritchie, 14th. Tanner Kasinger, a big threat, out in 15th. Nathan Rostastil, 16th. Chris Melton, 17th. Raul Alves out at 18th. Larry McDonald out, 19th. Brandon Sox, 20th. Andrew Harris, 21st. David Giusti, 22nd. James Wagner, 23rd. Preston Alexander, 24th. James Johnston out in 25th. Jeff Scott, 26th. Jason Maines, unfortunately, will be out as well, finishing 27th here tonight. And Rodney Pitcock rounds out tonight's field.
Well, heat race number 3 is completed, and we will get ready now to go into heat race number 4. But you wanted chaos in this event. You wanted chaos in a heat race, and boy, you got it right there. Crashes, guys on their roofs. One of those guys comes back to make it into the duel. So many storylines. And the race up front ended up being a lot more heated than I thought it would be, with Wyatt Tinsley, Daniel Eberhardt, and Caden Diedrich, and Dude Conrad, Chris McCullough all being involved in the finish of this one, and Zach Novak as well. In fact, before we get into our next heat race, let's actually go back and take a quick look as we get into this little bit of post-race coverage from heat number 3. We'll take one look at the finish of this second heat race, and we'll kind of start it back here from turn 3, because this move by Wyatt Tinsley and Caden Diedrich is kind of the focus of this. Going into the turn 3 banking, Landon, you mentioned it earlier in the race. When are these guys going to go? They're connected. They've been connected all race. Eventually, they're going to pull the trigger. They do it in the banking of turn 3. From the 0-4 of McCullough, I'm not very happy. Wyatt Tinsley, Caden Diedrich got to be feeling pretty good, though, after a 1-3 finish for those two.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we were waiting for it, like you said, the whole time. They're connected. They made it a point to be connected with each other. And unfortunately, Chris McCullough receives the short end of the stick here when they make the move to the middle. I'll be honest, not really a move that I was expecting by them. I was expecting maybe if Chris McCullough came down and side drafted, they would just take his right rear and move up to the top side. But it ended up working out because everybody went with them and nobody went with Chris McCullough, who had a look at being already advanced into the duels. He's still going to make the LCQ, but just one step further that Chris McCullough is going to have to take to try and make it into the feature race on Sunday.
Well, that is going to all but wrap up our coverage here of heat race number 3, but don't leave. Hang around. go grab a drink, go grab a snack, get comfortable, and come right back, because here in about 15 minutes we'll have coverage of heat race number 4, and there are some huge names in that one that you will want to see. It's going to be a must-see event. After that, heat number 5 as well, still on tap. Plenty of action. The action is just getting started here from Daytona International Speedway. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to a brief break. We're going to get all of our equipment transferred over and get loaded into the session here for heat race number 4, and then we'll come back with more coverage here shortly. We'll try to get a timer up on screen so you know exactly when we'll be coming back for heat race number 4. For my partner Landon Veliky, my name's Dawson Wise. Hang around. We'll be right back. Heat race number 4 on tap in the PGR 500. Good evening once again from the virtual World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, as we welcome you back in to the PGR eSports broadcast booth for tonight's continuing coverage of heat races 3 through 5 of the first annual PGR 500. We just wrapped up heat number 3 about 20 minutes ago, and now it's time to transition right over into heat race number 4, and there's some big names to come in this one. You will not want to miss a moment of the action. Before we get too far into things, I want to introduce my co-host for this event here high atop the Daytona International Speedway with me in the broadcast booth, and it is Matthew Baker, a man who raced in this event last night. And Baker, unfortunate that I have to say this already, and I don't mean to rub it in a sense, but eliminated from the event after Wyatt Tinsley's qualifying time knocked you out of contention, unfortunately. But speak to your experience last night. What can these drivers expect in this race? What did you see behind the wheel that we can expect in this one?
Well, I'm holding on to a glimmer of hope. I still got Chris Blanchard and Merck to try and naturally qualify their way in to the duels, and that way they don't have to use their provisional, and that provisional will go down to me since I was put on the short list from Blanchard. So thank you to him, our associate sponsor at Blanchard's Towing. But yeah, it was fun. Me and Ellis were working great. And you've seen it in these past 3 heats. At the top has 3 cars that are willing to work with each other. Side draft, you just saw Wyatt Tinsley and Caden Diedrich. You saw it last night with Veliky, Early, and Josh McCullough and Nathan Harper, who led almost every single lap. And you know, with myself and Ellis, until everything started to get crazy about those last 5 or 6 laps. But I tried to take a run to the middle, and you saw it. You get stuck in that sucker hole, and it is back you go.
Tough break, but like you said, a bit of a glimmer of hope, and we've kind of failed to mention those provisionals, but we'll get to them kind of closer to the main event when they're becoming more relevant in terms of the provisional lists that we have. We'll talk about qualifying really quickly because, as I just mentioned a moment ago, in heat number 3, Wyatt Tinsley, the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, knocked Matthew Baker off the front row in terms of his time. He ran a 49.112. That is second still on the list. Alex Coffey who last night was eliminated from the PGR 500 in terms of the heat race eligibility. He finished 16th in his heat race. He still hangs on to that hope as well as of now. The provisional prime pole position winner for this event. We still await the Apex Racing Society outside pole sitter, or even a new pole sitter perhaps, as it stands. 5 heats to go and some qualifying aces still to come. A few of them are in this race. Again, we'll remind you if you weren't tuned in for heat number 3 or last night for heats 1 and 2. The format of this event is as follows. The top 5 of 30 in this heat race will advance straight to the Duels, which will be the second set of races on Saturday, which will set the official field for the PGR 500, kind of NASCAR style in terms of 20 from each duel will make up part of the field. We'll have the provisionals as well as the 2 front row sitters as well that will make up the final field. If you finish 6th through 13th, it's a total of 8 cars out of each heat. It'll be 32 in 2 LCQ races. And in those races, you can race your way into the duels. So if you finish outside the top 5, all is not lost. 6th through 13th, a total of 8 cars out of this race will advance to the LCQ, and at the absolute least, will have a chance to continue to race on in this event. Give yourself essentially one more opportunity to try to give yourself one more opportunity. You get the idea to make the PGR 500. And you want to talk about names, this is one of the heats to watch. This was one of the ones I had circled coming into this week's event. Defending eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion Parker White is in the field as he sets the fastest time in the field as of right now in the qualifying charts. Defending ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl champion Cody Nagels from Daytona a year ago is in this field also. Looking down the list, you have many big names in this field that have either not turned a lap or are working on turning a lap as a portion of this race. Series owner Michael Triscaro will make his attempt at this race. You have drivers that are known well around the service like Tommy Gossett and Jarrett Lieber. Cole Larson, a veteran super speedway racer, is in this field as well. So many great drivers, Baker, in this field. And as we wrap up qualifying, a lot of names to watch. This one should be very intense at the front.
It's going to be intense, and you saw Parker White just 1,000th off tying White's lead. The rule is we will have a qualify-off. If there is any ties in the top 2 for the qualifying, we will have a qualify-off as it were for those spots. Maybe put a broadcast on it, but right now Parker White just 1,000th off from getting that outside pole position.
We will transition now trackside as the field works onto the grid for heat race number 4. And like Baker mentioned, Parker White will roll from the pole, but we'll get into the starting grid here in just a moment as guys start to get gridded up on the racetrack. It's heat race number 4 of the PGR 500 event this week. And now here we go. The starting grid for heat race number 4. Ignore that 3. In fact, we're going to go ahead and try to get that switched right now, but we'll get it switched after the grid. Parker White is on the pole in the 95 machine with Jarrett Lieber to his outside in second. Row 2, it's Cody Nagels, probably the most veteran, probably one of the most accomplished drivers in the field. He'll start from third. It'll be Nathaniel Landwehr that will roll from position number 4. Row 3, Victor Pfluger in the 43, and Nick Seipel in the 75, a man who had a very good night the other night in the lead-up to this race. He has had a very good week of prep. He starts from 6th. Row 4, Adam Young in the 22, and Michael Triscaro, PGR owner and owner of Team PGR, he'll roll from 8th. And on row 5, Brandon Garand in the 1, and Chase Mastretta in the 8 machine.
In row 6, Hunter Hastings, and starting off 11, Yakov Kirsanov. I hope I said that right. In 12th, in our 7th row, we've got Michael Menchaca. Cole Larson, one of the auto qualifiers for the SummerSlam in the Xfinity car last year. Look for him to make some moves up there. Justin Branham in 15th. Tommy Gossett in the number 80 Ryko Performance Machine in 16th. You'll see that purple and yellow car trying to make his way to the front as fast as possible. Dalton Meelam, another veteran super speedway racer, may not be well known in our money racing community, but he's well known across the service. Joseph Stafford in 18th. Tobias Matheson in 19th. Jonathan Herbert for the aforementioned Hyper Motorsports in 20th. He will be making his way up. Wesley Lynch in 21st. Quint Steinbach 22nd. Adolfo Delgado 23rd. Tanner Sims, another money racer, way towards the back of the field, going to try and make his way up in 24th. Ryan Derrick in 25th. Jack Mummer, another auto qualifier from the SummerSlam 499 in 26th. Ryan Wingate, 27th. Thomas Bennett in 28th. Bobby Rashall, or Robert Rashall as it said on the form, in 29th. And Dejan Monte rounding out your 30-car field.
So again, 30 on track, and some of the best in the entry list for this event now take the track in heat number 4, and these guys work around, and I talked about it last night with Austin in heat race number 1. The nerves as a driver, this is the longest parade lap of the entire week, is your first opportunity on track. For some guys, it will be their only opportunity on track, but for some, their run just beginning tonight, this is where the nerves are the highest. These few opening laps just to get your feet under you a little bit and kind of get a taste of, okay, here's how the guys around me are going to drive. Here's what the flow of the races are going to be this week. Here's a taste of the desperation as well that guys are going to show to make their way into the PGR 500. And for some guys, maybe a little bit less. Parker White, Cody Nagels have been in this spot before. But for some of the guys towards the tail end of the field, that maybe this is their first special event, the nerves are certainly churning just a little bit more. 30 laps on the scoreboard for heat number 4 of this event. This is the final heat that will transfer into Last Chance Qualifier and Duel Race number 1. 1 through 4 go to that race. Heats 5 through 8. Heat 5 you'll see here in just a moment will go to Duel Race and LCQ Race number 2 on Saturday afternoon. We're ready to get down to business. It's the defending champ of the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Parker White in the 53, that will bring the field into the Geico restart zone for the first time. Green flag is in the air. We're racing in heat race number 4. Down the Daytona super stretch for the first time, and similarly to race 1, no big brash moves from the field, at least early in the going, as Parker White leads the bottom. It's Jarrett Liebert along the top side, along the push of Nathaniel Landwehr in the 66. On the bottom, the pusher is Cody Nagels, and that's going to be a very familiar name to watch. Nagels, again, a defending winner of a combination of this car and track last year, in the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. Cody Nagels won $4,000 against some of iRacing's best, and they now duel for the lead. He and Parker White as the field climbs the banking of turn number 1.
iRacing's best, and now I consider him one of the best Super Speedway drivers on the service, pro or not. He has the most experience out here. Parker White also with the Clash win last night. You see that top side really starting to lose momentum as Liebert getting a push big time to Parker White. Cleared up on the top side. Cody Nagels hung out on the bottom, but he's safe there. He's been talking to me all week. He said, I like the bottom. If I can get 3 people up there that I know will get up there. Oh, and he just changed my mind. Blocks it through the wall.
Oh, man, that was a big block by Nagels. And Victor Pfluger, I can't imagine, is going to be very happy with the driver of that number 6 machine. As he goes backwards, he'll try to find a spot in line. Whoa, trouble out back. A couple cars around in the very back of this pack. And early on, it's Jonathan Herbert that goes sideways. Another car was involved as well. It's Adolfo Delgado in the 16 machine. And the first caution flag of heat number 4 is immediate. It's on lap number 3. Let's go back and take a look. It's back here around the tail end of the field. I just barely caught the spinning 16 machine. And you see he's running next to Herbert. This is out back of the field. A car tries to go to the middle. And I'm trying to see, it's Thomas Bennett in the 17, and he hooks Jonathan Herbert down the banking and into Adolfo Delgado. Both those cars, innocent bystanders. Delgado slides, pounds the outside wall. It's a tough hit for the 16. And Herbert, I think, is going to get hit in the crossfire. He is. And that is by the 18 machine of Ryan Derrick that gets into the back of him. Herbert goes for a slide. It looks like, for the most part, though, as cars come on by, it's only going to be a 3-car incident. For Herbert and Derrick, they might get away okay. For Delgado, a little bit more damage. We'll go back and take another look. Again, this is back around the very tail end of the pack, right around the final few positions. And you're going to see Bennett there in the middle, that black and white and red machine. Try to go to the middle, perhaps. Maybe make a bit of a move. You see Tommy Gossett going to the middle, Cole Larson going to the middle. And Bennett may try to follow. And in fact, I wonder if Jonathan Herbert was trying to follow as well. And unfortunately, they meet in the middle, do the 17 and the 87, and Delgado gets collected as a very much innocent bystander. And man, that's a big hit to the outside wall. The good thing, I guess, for Delgado, if there's a bright spot, is I don't know how much suspension damage he would have incurred by nosing into the outside wall rather than what we saw in heat number 3, which was guys go in right rear first, left front first, and that knocks the suspension all out of whack, and that's a lot more punishing damage that may require a fast repair. So the only bright spot to me for Delgado is going to be that he may avoid a fast repair there, but Bennett, Herbert going for the same piece of real estate. That may go into the nerves as well here as we get to the early portions of this race.
Yeah, unfortunate. Just looks like two guys going for the same real estate. Bennett up the track just a little bit, and then you had Herbert trying to scooch down towards the middle. It looked like he thought that Bennett may have been where Aldolfo was. More of a racing incident than anything. But, man, up front, it got dicey quick. We were just talking about Nagels, how he liked the bottom. He went all the way to the top of the track, blocked Pfluger into the wall. Don't think Pfluger's going to be too happy, just like he said. So watch out for that as they start coming forward. But Cody, I mean, you saw that move. You said that he's been here before, but he told me all throughout the week how nervous he was for this race. So someone who's been up front in Daytona in the next gen, it just shows you how much that this race means to him. He has 8 wins in the PGR Intimidator Super Speedway Series, which is very, very impressive, very tough to come by. The winningest driver, if you will, in PGR history, trying to get up here, compete against the defending Coke Series champion in Parker White, who won his clash last night for the Pro Series, and that race was for absolutely nothing but bragging rights, but what it did was teach him the moves he needed to make and how he needed to avoid the chaos at the end.
Well, Parker White, obviously, again, a very apt driver, the defending champion of that series, and goes 1 for 1 in 2025, so an impressive enough season in 2024, but then says, I'm going to do one better. I'm going to go 1 for 1 and win the Clash while I'm at it as well. About a 2-race win streak dating back to that championship race win, and he comes in with a ton of momentum just from even one night ago in that Clash race. But, I want to go back to Nagels and talk about this for a second, because Cody Nagels, you talk about his PGR wins. Let's even go beyond that. Again, the defending champion of the Omega Cup Spring Bowl last year for ERA, and if you want to talk about a stacked field, ERA had about everybody that was anybody in super speedway racing in that field, and Cody Nagels was able to win, not only win, but out-duel Max Brady, one of the best of the best, at the end of the race to win that event. Not only that, let's add on to it, he led laps in last year's Podium 500 as well. In fact, a handful of them. More than just, he went up there and led a lap. No, he led 30, 40 laps in that race and was very controlling towards the end, had a shot to win that one also. For him to say the nerves are high, Baker mentioned it. The nerves of this race, what's on the line, the stakes, the level of competition is as high as it's ever been. If competitors like that are saying, you know what, I'm a little bit nervous going into this one.
Yeah, I can tell you I'm nervous, not only from being the co-owner with Mike, who I just want to commend again, just the owner of PGR eSports, and one of my good friends, my teammate back there in the number 34 NBG Prime scheme. Really, really just want to say thanks to him for dealing with everything that comes with this event, putting it together, creating the sessions, taking in the money. We worked hand in hand, but he deals with all the money. I'm just a Navy boy, so I'm not too great with numbers. And Mike could sit there and handle the finances for me, and I could just get out here and race control and produce the media. But, it's just shown how great of a production it is with the concurrent viewers that we had last night, the viewers that we have tonight, and just the caliber of drivers that we have out here. 240 entries, 13 Coke drivers, 2 Podium 500 champions are in this race, 3 ERA champions are in this race in a super speedway. It just speaks to the volumes of the production that we put on the past year, preparing ourselves for this PGR 500, and I can't wait to see where it goes next.
Going to look there at Michael Triscaro's paint scheme. As Baker mentioned, the owner of PGR eSports, but also has even more nerves on his mind as he's trying to race his way into this event as well. Double the nerves, can only imagine what's on the mind of the driver of the 34. Real quick before we go back, Green, want to give a huge thanks to Coasting Thunder for their sponsorship of these 3 heat races tonight. We'll talk more about them throughout the night as we go here into this 4th and 5th heat race, and you see their logo as well, gracing the broadcast overlays. Huge thanks to them for their sponsorship of tonight's 3rd, 4th, and 5th heat races. Nagels back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. It's a nice launch on the bottom for the number 6, carrying the Wagoner's welding colors, but the same green that we are so used to from that number 6 Chevrolet Camaro. White gets a decent jump on the outside, but his help took a moment to get to him in the form of Adam Young. Bottom side, Nagels, Liebert, and Brandon Garand in the one car. Barstool Sports aboard that machine. That's a sharp-looking paint scheme on the bottom as he works his way forward onto the Daytona Superstretch. Nagels to the front. Will he clear up? No. As you mentioned, Baker, he's going to stay home on the bottom.
Stays home on the bottom. He knows he can go up and park in front of Parker White when that run comes back. As that run comes back, no side draft happening just yet. Everyone pretty split apart. This is what it looked like on my final restart in the first heat. But you see Tommy Gossett, he's working his way up. He's fourth in line on that top in the beautiful number 80 blue, purple and yellow Ryko performance machine. But the bottom side still rolling. Cody Nagels here at the line.
Nagels, Liebert, Garand. Now one more car further back working his way into this as well. I believe that's Hunter Hastings, fourth in line, carrying those similar colors as the Chris Melton, James Wagoner machines. Jeff Scott as well had those colors on, and so too does Hunter Hastings. It's still Nagels alongside now Parker White. The outside got a bit more of a drive. Adam Young is settled in. Second in line on the top side now to push Parker White back to the point. It's now the defending champ that goes back to the lead. Gossett out back, tried to go to the middle, nothing doing. He's got Thomas Bennett behind him, but really no dice, and that's kind of similar to what we saw both in Heat 3 and also last night in Heats 1 and 2, is that middle lane, you've got to have the right cars, and you've got to have enough of a run to get it going, or it's not going to go many places. Several guys that have gone places, though. You look at Adam Young +5, you look at Justin Branham +5, further back Bennett +7, Wesley Lynch +3. Some guys on the move towards the front. It's Nagels that goes back to the point with 22 laps to go.
We talked about it. He didn't get impatient. He saw the topside roll around him, but really nowhere for him to go. Liebert's calling Cody Nagels up. Oh, Cody doesn't go up, though. That Ballstroll machine going to push Cody Nagels on the bottom. He's still comfortable being there on the bottom. Very impressed by it. There goes Tommy Gossett shooting to the middle, trying to push that purple car. Nick Seipel to the race lead through the middle. Three-wide action starting here in 3 and 4.
Well, now Tommy Gossett's got some help, and he was waiting for just somebody to make the move with him. And who else? Oh, but Nick Seipel, oh man, gets a little bit, not greedy. Oh, trouble! Brandon Garand into the outside retaining wall. They're going to start to pile up. Hastings into the outside wall, and here we go. Caution flag number 2 is going to come out, and it's right in front of Michael Triscaro, who I think escapes that one. Hastings and Garand do not, and the caution flag is back out with 21 laps to go. That was right up front. So we'll go back, take another look. This was Brandon Garand, who I think was attempting to follow Cody Nagels up the racetrack. As they come off the turn number 4, you see Hastings jumps up. That's a good move from him. And watch the 6 and the 1. They're both going to try to make the move, and it's going to be a second too late here for Brandon Garand. It's clear right here, but as they get to the middle of the tri-oval, they're still waiting, still waiting. Now they start to make the move, and by now it's just a little bit too late. And in fact, Garand hesitates a little bit even beyond that, and by the time he hesitates, nowhere for Hunter Hastings to go except into the right recorder. And I thought we were going to be okay. Adam Young, Nick Seipel kind of scramble. Mastretta, Larson scramble to the bottom, and then Hastings comes back down, gets into the right side of Seipel, and this is where it gets big right here. Big hit for Hastings, big hit for Garand. One more car involved in that one as well. I can't quite tell a number. It's the 66 machine on the side of the car, but it does not look like it's the 66. Actually, it's Nathaniel Landwehr, excuse me. A tough break for him, but not much damage for Garand and Hastings. This is some big damage. Those were a couple big hits. Really 2 of the biggest hits we've seen tonight, save for Dude Conrad, who was on his roof in heat number 3. Those are 2 of the biggest hits we've seen here tonight. We'll get another angle of it, and this is kind of what you're going to see. So see that gap? It's there. It's there. They hesitate, and by the time Garand comes up, it's not there anymore. It happens really fast, and Hastings kind of gets treated like a pinball there. Comes back across, slides to the apron. Garand bounces off the outside wall. Big damage for those 2. Other than that, good job by the field to get away pretty much unscathed.
Yeah, very good job. There's not much you can do when someone gets turned into the outside wall in the tri-oval. That's a very, very tough spot to not pile up the field. Triscaro did a great job avoiding that. Tanner Sims did a good job avoiding it. Take a little bit of front-end damage. I don't think it's much, though. And go over race comps, but yeah, it's going to be EOL assessed to the number 1, Brandon Garand, just trying to follow Cody Nagels up. Didn't really test out the run that was behind him. But the one with the worst end of the stick is going to be Hunter Hastings, taking a massive hit to the outside wall.
We'll take a ride on board here, but real quick before we go back, Green, it's going to be from Nathaniel Landwehr, who is right behind this incident. You see him take the run to the right rear of Seipel. Look at how fast this happens in front of him. Nothing he can do as he hits the one of Garand, and Hastings slides back down across the track. Close calls for guys like Nick Seipel and Michael Triscaro that we just mentioned, who get through it relatively unscathed. Second caution flag of the night on lap number 12 here at Daytona as we pace under the yellow flag. It's Jarrett Liebert that leads the field. It's Parker White that goes second, and Cody Nagels goes in third. Michael Menchaca in fourth. Dalton Milam in sixth. Adam Young seventh. Chase Mastretta eighth. Adam Young sixth. Chase Mastretta seventh. Nick Seipel eighth. Cole Larson ninth. And Yakov Kirsanov in the 10th position. Want to give you a quick look before we go back green at what is upcoming in heat number 5. We'll get that going here on the screen. You see it there. Heat number 5 coming up just after this one, qualifying at 10 p.m. Eastern with the green flag scheduled for 10:05. And look at some of the names in that 5th heat. You think the names in this one are big? Just wait. Coke Series driver Eddie Kerner. Coke Series driver Graham Bolin. Coke Series drivers, like Michael Cozy, Michael Guest, Podium 500 champ Kyler Wynn. Veterans in our series like Kenny McCullough. Justin Champagne is on that list. Dale Tanhart is on that list. A ton of huge hitting names coming up in heat number 5. Again, that one will be coming up right after we get done with heat number 4 here from Daytona. 1 lap to go at the line. The pace car lights will go out, and it's been I don't want to say calm, but certainly not as chaotic here up front for Liebert, White, and Nagels. But some company now that has not been up here. Menchaca, Dalton Milam, Chase Mastretta, all new to the top 10, and Yakov Kirsanov as well. And Tommy Gossett and Thomas Bennett continue to work their way forward as well. A lot of guys now taking their first cracks at the front in the PGR 500 heat race.
Hey, you go back to the nerves, talk about it. I was so nervous for my lap, clipped the apron out of 4, still able to get the pole, but just the nerves in this week leading up to it means so much for some of these guys. To come out here and compete against 240 of the best, and we had 30 people afterwards when we closed out the forums trying to knock on the door and get more people in, so probably going to expand it out to 300 next time. Get a couple more heats lined up. That'll expand us out to 60 drivers with 30 in each heat. That should give us a 10 heat lineup to expand out, and it'll just get even tougher from there. And Max Brady tried to get in, Blaze Crawford tried to get in, numerous guys that are super speedway experienced trying to get in that race. But you mentioned that heat 5 lineup. I can't. I don't know who you could pick there. Who is your pick for that race?
Personally, I lean towards the guys that raced last night. I'm looking at a guy like a Graham Bolin or a Michael Guest or a Michael Cozy. They kind of just came off of the absolute chaos that was especially the end portions of last night's race. Guest and Cozy, and really Graham Bolin as well, we're all right in the middle of some incredible last lap runs and some chaos, and that's kind of what we've seen so far here. So I'm leaning towards those guys. Personally, coming into the week, Michael Cozy was one of my picks to win the event as a whole. We'll see if that racks up here in heat number 5, but what a stacked field it is. We've got some stacked heat races tomorrow as well. Same times tomorrow. You'll want to come back. Heat 7, I'll give you a sneak peek. Heat 7 especially is going to be a barn burner. You will not want to miss that one. That will be one of the most, if not the most competitive heat of the entire week tomorrow night for both qualifying times and on the racetrack. Here we go, 17 laps to remain in heat number 4, business to be attended to here as we await who is going to be the 13 drivers that continue on, who will be the 5 that kind of not really get to kick their feet up, but at least get a little bit more off their shoulders and go right to the duels. Green flag is back in the air. It's a great jump for Jarrett Liebert here on the bottom side, that all-black 025 Toyota Camry. He will have a choice now of jumping on the nose of Cody Nagel, staying where he is, or jumping out the nose of Parker White as the field works the way up the banking. He will stay on the bottom. Nagels gets a nice run out back, and so too does Dalton Milam, a guy you talked about earlier, Baker. He's up to 3rd and now contending for the lead.
We saw it in the last heat race towards the back. People start fanning out 3 wide. A little bit squirrely towards the middle of the pack. One towards the apron. Gossett going to give room to let him back in line. Sorry, that's Nick Seipel. But you see, they start to shuffle 3 wide. They start to lose this front pack, and that's the problem. You start to lose that front pack, you're not racing for anything. Only top 13 transfer in. You got to single file out. You got to get in line.
Well, they're in line now and trying to work forward. Triscaro, Delgado, Wesley Lynch, and you heard there must have been some kind of call down to the bottom, and this is exactly what they need to do. Trouble. One car in the outside wall, and the caution flag's going to be thrown here. It was Ryan Derrick in the 18, and more cars going to get involved here. Up in front, oh man, that may have been Brandon Garand again as he gets into his second incident of the night. And you see, there it is, the body armor Barstool Sports Mustang involved in his second, and now another car involved as well behind these guys. And it's the Budweiser Mustang of Jack Mummert, a guy we talked about from the SummerSlam 499 that was so impressive, made it all the way to the feature and actually ran well in the feature as well. And they're all three going to get involved in this one. Oh, man. Jonathan Herbert, was he caught in the middle of one again? Oh, and it may be the same two cars. You remember not Thomas Bennett, Ryan Derrick got in the back of Jonathan Herbert at the end of the last incident. They meet again, the 18 and the 87, and this is a scramble in that second pack that Baker talked about. Man, Ryan Derrick turns right up the hill in the banking, and Mummert goes off the bumper of Herbert. Again, Jonathan Herbert, Jack Mummert, nothing they were doing wrong. But Mummert goes for a slide. You see the 18 of Derrick go for a slide. As Derrick comes back down, and you see Garand, does he get hit? Oh, he gets hit late. Oh, my goodness, almost goes up and over. Does Brandon Garand in the one machine. A bad night gone worse here for that Ford Mustang as he slides to a stop. He's got significant right side damage now from that hit. Mummert comes to a stop. Herbert comes to a stop. And boy, for a couple of these guys, Herbert, Garand, and Derrick, this is incident number 2 for them, and they haven't even really had a chance to get any momentum going. We'll take another look at it here. As the field worked its way through the trial, you see there Derrick into Herbert, into Mummert, and around they went. You're going to see them slide to a stop. You're going to see Brandon Garand as well come into this one late, along with Ryan Derrick. A tough incident towards the back of the field. That takes another couple guys. Herbert, Garand, tough break. Derrick as well. But for Jack Mummert, Baker, a guy you talked about earlier in terms of what they did in the SummerSlam 499, Mummert was one of them, and he faces adversity now in heat race number 4.
Yeah, just unfortunate, I put the so-called commentator's curse on it back there as I was talking about the second pack. Of course, the wreck comes from the second pack, well, towards the back half of it. Hopefully we can break that streak. We did it in the PGR Light Series, which Michael Trasquero, by the way, got his first PGR sanctioned win. I know he doesn't count it because it's not a Thursday race. I do, though, because it was $650 in his pocket, and I don't see anyone else out here winning that this week until we get to Sunday, which is $2,000 to win. I can't believe the payouts, how much they've gone up from what we posted. $2,000 to the winner, $1,000 to second. Just we're paying out the entire field for just making the race. If you make the race, you get at least your entry fee back from about 31st on back to 43rd. All thanks to the sponsors that we have out here. James Wagner Welding, thank you for being the presenting sponsor. Our associate sponsors, Blanchard, the Jack Shack, Trevor Osborne, thank you so much for your contributions. We couldn't have done it without y'all.
Yeah, huge thank you to the sponsors again as we go throughout the week, so we will get a better idea of where those sponsors are at. Obviously, the prime pole position and the Apex Racing Society outside pole sitter still to be set here throughout the week. Again, tonight's heat sponsored by Coasting Thunder. So again, another thanks to them for sponsoring tonight's heat races 3, 4, and 5. And Baker talked about some of the bigger name sponsors, the ones you'll see throughout the week, as well as on Sunday afternoon's feature broadcast. That again will feature an all-star lineup in the booth and on the racetrack as well. You won't want to miss the first ever PGR 500 Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. But now business to be attended to here in heat number 4. There's still so much to be done and so much to determine. Looking back towards those transfer spots now, we'll go through a bit of the running order here. Jarrett Liebert runs in position number 1. It's Cody Nagels behind him in second, with Dalton Milam third. Chase Mastretta, good run for him so far in fourth. Yakov Kirsanov's all the way up to fifth position. Tommy Gossett's up to 6, plus 10 on the night for him so far. Michael Menchaca, how about the run for the 32 machine so far? He's 7th. Cole Larson is plus 6 up to 8th position. Back in 9th is where you'll find Parker White, and Justin Branham completes the top 10. The last 3 transfer spots provisionally are Nick Seipel, Thomas Bennett, and Tanner Sims. And then you have some guys on the outside looking in now. Nathaniel Landwehr, Adam Young, Dejan Monte, Victor Fluger, Adolfo Delgado, Wesley Lynch, Michael Trasquero, Tobias Matheson, and several others towards the back as well. Hunter Hastings, Quentin Steinbach, Ryan Wingate all have to try to figure it out here with just 12 laps to go. Only 13 men will race into Saturday. 5 will race in the duels. 8 more make at least another chance, keep their lives alive in this race into Saturday's Last Chance Qualifiers. Up front, again, it's not been, let's not say calm, but let's say managed, composed, I think is the right word up front. Guys that are not going too far over the edge. But as we've seen in the other heats, especially last night, Baker, in heats 1 and 2, we had incidents towards the front of the field that took out guys that ran up front all night long. And couple of those incidents occurred on the last lap, notably guys like John Ellis Jr., guys like Eugene Mozganov got involved in last lap incidents last night that have taken them out of contention completely.
Yeah, unfortunate for sure, but some of those guys who played it safe, they knew the wrecks were coming. Mark Von Dell being one of those. Brian Hennings, who was running great up front in Heat 1, got shuffled out back late, was able to transfer his way in. So it's a battle of the mind games. Do you play patient like the Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, or do you just stay aggressive like a Joey Logano or Cody Nagels here in the iRacing sense? But as we head out of 4 here, we'll take the green flag. Looking at about 12 laps to go. Michael Triscaro back all the way in about 21st position. We'll see what he is going to do to try and get desperate. But once you get past that halfway point, and we are past it, it's going to get wild.
Pace car is down. Liebert and Nagels will lead the field back into the Geico race start zone. 12 laps to go in heat number 4. Away we go towards the banking. Liebert off to a great jump. Milam got one as well, but their help did not, and now Liebert has the opportunity to jump up. He will not, and that will allow Cody Nagels to drive back to the point, a position he knows so well in these super speedway races. And boy, if he looks in the mirror now, a very interesting situation's developed. His teammate on a normal money racing night has now tandemed them away from the field. Friendly face in the mirror. Cody Nagels trouble lap back. Adolfo Delgado gets turned across the field, got jacked up into the air, and he's going to be involved in another incident to bring out the 4th caution with 12 laps to go. Here in heat number 4, we'll take another look. We'll go right back to the backstretch. Oh, this actually starts in front of him with the 57 of Stafford. Now let's kind of see where this one gets going. Joe Stafford, the 57, the 07 of DeJean Monte, right in front of Adolfo Delgado here at the front of the field. And let's see what kicks this one off. Oh, it's a checkup. You see that checkup starting in front of the 57. It's making its way back, and the 57 of Stafford tries to go to the middle and doesn't get far enough. And gets into the left rear there of Monte and the 07. Monte goes sideways. And Delgado, oh man, Delgado got hit from behind, which is how I saw him get up and airborne. And a tough break, man. He bounces around all over the suspension of that car as a couple cars come into the wreck and get up underneath the 16 of Delgado. Nothing he can do. He's getting on the brakes, trying to miss it, and gets hit from behind. It gets him up in the air. This is a bit of a wild ride for Delgado here. And again, I kind of saw him bouncing around. I wasn't sure in the moment what exactly happened. You see right there, man, he almost gets sandwiched, between the 75 and the spinning 07 of Monte. And that kind of lifts him up off the ground. When the 75 gets into him, there's nowhere for that car to go. So it pops up off the ground. It bounces around a couple times. And he gets going further up. We actually had an incident as well. Robert Rachal. Let's go back and see what happened to the 888. Oh, man, this is in the secondary. Oh, man, the 888 of Bobby Rachal gets into the spinning Monte machine, down on the apron, trying to miss it, and Monte comes sliding down and collects the 888, of Robert Rachal. So a tough break there for Rachal. We'll take one more look here at this one. We'll try to get an onboard. Actually, we'll go on board with the Robert Rachal machine and show you exactly who he gets in this one. So he sees the smoke. You're going to see him pop back in, and oh man, as he's going down to the apron, the 07 right in his path, and Rachal nowhere to go. He spins it. Going to be a fast repair for Rachal as we head back live to the front of the field. It'll be a fast repair for Rachal. It'll be a fast repair for Delgado. But honestly, it could have been a lot worse considering where that wreck started and how it got started with Delgado getting jacked up into the air.
Sorry, just messaging right now. The series owner is in the race, and the co-owners and race control in the booth. We're having problems with Heat 5 session not loading back up, so we're going to have to fix that here in a second. But yeah, just unfortunate towards the back. You can't really qualify for the race if you're sitting there wrecking all the time. So hopefully we can get the session back up, and hopefully the guys in the back can start to calm down and get back up there towards the front to try and qualify their way in.
So we will give Matthew Baker and Michael Triscaro an opportunity to correspond and get some logistical things handled with heat number 5 that's coming up right after this one. So we will allow him to do that. And As we get ready to go back green now, it's Cody Nagels that leads, and I talked about it for a moment, but I didn't get a chance to discuss it. For those of you that are not normal viewers of the Intimidator Super Speedway series or any of the series that PGR Esports Network covers, the top two on the racetrack right now, Nagels and Mistretta, are teammates. They run for the same team on a nightly basis. They are guys that communicate constantly. They're communicating right now. They are helping each other out, and if you see them make moves accordingly, that's why. These guys are teammates every night of the week for a team named Nightmare Esports, and Cody has kind of taken the banner of that team, and they are very successful in the money racing scene on a nightly basis, and they are very coordinated, and Cody Nagels now a very friendly face. He's got to love seeing the Chase Mistretta machine up at the front with him, but some new faces now have joined them at the front. How about Yakov Kirsanov? He'll roll from the the inside of row number 2 here. Lead pusher on the bottom. Michael Menchaca, we talked about him. Liebert and Milam have been at the front for most of this race, as has Parker White, but Thomas Bennett is now in a transfer spot in the 8th position, as Tommy Gossett is now in a transfer spot in 9th. How about Nick Seipel back in 10th? Cole Larson has made his way to a transfer spot in the 11th spot, as has Tanner Sims. And that Sim Shop Chevrolet up top. Justin Branham remains in one as well. The HendrickCars.com Chevrolet on the bottom. Guys that are outside looking in: Adam Young, Nathaniel Landwehr, Michael Triscaro, Wesley Lynch, Quentin Steinbach, Hunter Hastings, Jonathan Herbert, Tobias Matheson, Ryan Wingate, Jack Mummert, Adolfo Delgado, Victor Pfluger, Joe Stafford, Dijon Monte, and a couple of others. Bobby Rochelle is still running. It appears that Brandon Garand and Ryan Derrick have called their races off in 29th and 30th. Their hopes for the PGR 500 are over. We're getting ready to go back green. Single digits on the board. 8 laps to go. Nagels Mistretta will be your front row for this restart. It'll be very interesting now to see the dynamic of how these teammates work together up front. And we talked about this back in heat number 3 with Landon Velicki up here in the booth, and he mentioned this. Caden Diedrich and Wyatt Tinsley working together in that heat, went to the middle, made a move, and won the race thanks to teamwork. It helped guarantee themselves a spot in the race by helping each other out when it mattered most. And we'll see if Nagels and Mistretta work through the same strategy here late in the going. Pace car will take the left turn. Nagels brings the field into the Geico restart zone on the outside, as chosen by the race leader. He'll get a nice jump, and do not be surprised if he jumps down on his teammate's bumper. They work towards the banking of one. Mistretta coming back to Nagels. He will go down to the bumper of his teammate Chase Mistretta. It is a teammate lined up 1-2 on the bottom with Nightmare Esports. Top side, it's Liebert and Dalton Milam as the field works through 1 and 2.
Bottom side starting to lose a little momentum. Cody Nagels trying to help out his teammate, going to sacrifice the track position, but earlier you saw that the bottom was still able to roll if they had cars committed, but people keep bailing left and right. Everyone trying to shuffle on the top side. Nick Seipel a little bit squirrely towards the middle with Parker White, who's outside of a dual transfer. Definitely thought he would have been up there and continued to dominate, but he is pushed backwards. But up front, still Jared Liebert. Very, very impressive run. Dalton Milam, like I mentioned at the beginning of the race, was going to be a factor, and he is. He's in the catbird seat as it is now.
7 laps to go in heat number 4 as this one gets closer to the end. Here comes the bottom. Huge run down low. Parker White blinks out further back. The 53, they have to scramble a little bit. Thomas Bennett in the wall trouble. Around goes Cole Larson. Parker White, oh man, he goes through the incident. What happened there? The caution flag comes out and they're wrecking more. Larson, the 19 of Quentin Steinbach, the 99 of Mummert, all involved. And it's the 5th caution of heat number 4 with 7 laps to go. We'll go back to a replay, and this was an all-out scramble that started when Parker White blinked out, running in about the 8th position, 9th position on the racetrack. Watch the 53 up in front of these guys. You're going to see him for a moment blink. Tommy Gossett gets on the brakes. A couple of others get on the brakes, including Sims, Cole Larson, Adam Young. They're all trying to get on the brakes because they're not sure at this point where Parker White, bam, is going to reappear. White does reappear, and then it's kind of this is a panic moment if you're a driver. And I've been in this scenario before on both ends of it. When a guy blinks and reappears, you don't know, number one, where they're going to be when they come back, and number two, what kind of contact you're going to make with them. If they pop in right in front of your car, it could start an incident. You could turn them. You have to take some evasive maneuvers, and in the process of doing that, Cole Larson drops across the nose of Wesley Lynch. He gets turned. Parker White is the luckiest car on the racetrack right now as he somehow kind of ghosts through that wreck. I have no idea how that didn't register, something with his connection. But then Mummert and Steinbach crash in the secondary incident as these guys all scrambled onto the Daytona Superstretch. Mummert gets turned, so does Steinbach, and it is chaos on the backstretches. Again, it all started up in front of them with Parker White as he got sideways and got out of line because of the blink. You're going to see it again here on this angle. If we can get it to see Parker White right there. So coming into turn number 1, see we're all clean and green. And he starts to blink, and Tommy Gossett's out of the gas. Parker White comes back, and now Larson's like, oh man, am I going to hit him if I run into him? Then you're kind of stuck in no man's land. You're still panicking a little bit. You know, where is Parker White? Where is he going to be? Larson gets into him, and then the secondary with Steinbach, Mummert, and Adam Young takes place on the backstretch. We'll take another look at that as well. That happened up ahead of the initial incident. So let's go back and take a look at that also. Quentin Steinbach running at the back of the field along with Jack Mummert. And that led to this incident. Look at Parker White up ahead and look at the kind of panic that happens at the back of the field. And they all kind of try for real estate. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out. Mummert to the back of Steinbach into Young. Some big hits there to the outside wall. Steinbach's got heavy damage. So does Jack Mummert, who just fixed his car. Tough breaks all around. We're going to roll on board with Cole Larson here, and I want to show you exactly what I mean. So we're going to roll this way back because I want to give you an image of exactly what I'm talking about here. So watch up ahead. You're going to see Parker White reappear very suddenly here. Watch this. See, reappears. Larson is thinking, okay, if I run into him, it's going to register some contact. That wasn't the case. But Larson, in the bit of a freak-out moment, a panic moment as a driver, you have to make a gut decision. And unfortunately, it comes together with Wesley Lynch and sparks our 5th caution of heat number 4. So we go back up front. Oh, go ahead, Baker. I knew you were dealing with some logistical issues, so.
Oh, yeah. People still not able to get in Heat 5 session. We're going to have to try and create it here, but it sounds like iRacing is having an issue with their servers altogether. So hopefully that Parker White incident isn't a foreshadowing of what's to come. Hopefully we can keep it together and get out of this session caution-free, or at least connectivity issues-free. Just unfortunate as it's trying to refresh the session to open it up. But if you're watching out there and you're in Heat 5, we are going to create a session directly after this. I'm just letting Michael focus on being a driver right now to try and qualify his way in. And man, I mean, Triscaro has avoided every wreck. He's been around it. He's been a magnet, but I can't believe the wrecks that he's avoided.
Well, sometimes it takes luck to make it into these. If you'll remember back, and this is actually something I mentioned with Austin yesterday, and it's kind of interesting that it's happened this way. Remember back to the July race, so SummerSlam 499, and if you were with us for the Last Chance Qualifier, going into turn 3, Michael Triscaro was not going to make the field for Sunday afternoon's feature race. It took missing a wreck and driving through the field into a transfer spot for Michael Triscaro to make it. He may very well be in a similar spot tonight where he has to miss some wrecks, he has to get through some things, and eventually it works out his way. It's kind of a deja vu. What a double take that Michael Triscaro's had to do, I'm sure, tonight, because he's thinking, oh man, come on, not again. Just one of these times. Give me some racing without adversity. But Michael Triscaro so far doing well. He's in position number 9. Can't imagine he'll have a very calm race to the finish, though. Guys coming from behind him trying to get into the duels and to the LCQ. Guys in front of him potentially jockeying for that top 5 spot. Going to be very contentious racing. 3 laps to go. We have 1 green-white checkered available to us. So at this point, if a caution flag comes out, we'll go into our 1 overtime attempt. And from there, it will be at the discretion of race control as to whether or not the caution flag comes out to end the race under the yellow flag condition. We've been told that that will only happen if the wreck happens way up towards the front of the field. So in some of these wrecks, like earlier, with Garand and Derek and Jonathan Herbert, in that case, a caution would not be thrown should we go to overtime. For the next 3 laps, though, the rules stay the same. It's only going to be if there's another caution flag from here on out. 7.5 miles to go in heat number 4. As the pace car makes the left turn down to pit road, it's Nagels and Mastretta, the teammates. Green flag back in the air, and that's a huge jump for Nagels. He'll actually have to be a little wary here because Liebert gets clear to the bottom. Dalton Milam may get clear as well. Nagels, he may very well have to stay home as they head for one. His teammate going to get a push from Kirsanov, but stuck in a little bit of no man's land on the bottom.
You know, if you're Cody Nagels, do you stick to the top side? Do you go help your teammate out on the bottom where you're way too close in this race to really try and risk it for the biscuit? But he's going to do it. He's going to go down to the bottom side, pick up that Nightmare 1-2 on the bottom. They're going to ask for a side draft from the top line. They're going to have to go for it. Oh, no, the top's still rolling. Not going to have the side draft to the center of the corner, but they'll still have momentum off the exit. Oh, one car gets split all the way out. Going to go all the way to the back. It's going to shuffle Michael Triscaro, fifth in line, to the bottom side. Side draft big time.
Oh no, Triscaro gets turned. Michael Triscaro, the series owner, goes for a slide in the tri-oval. And oh man, just when we were talking about the wrecks he had missed, he gets involved in this one with 3 laps to go. Menchaca, Stafford, a couple other cars involved as well. And that will send us into our one and only overtime attempt. And oh, I mean, a heartbreaking scene. The tires are spinning, but the car is not moving for Michael Triscaro. And this is a tough break. He's going to have to try to probably limp this one right to pit road. Will he get there? It'll be interesting, but that car very, very hobbled. We'll have to check back on that here in a moment. Let's see what sparked up our 6th caution flag of the night to send us into overtime. So Baker mentioned the split of Michael Menchaca. It happens right here on entry into 3. It's going to happen up ahead of Michael Triscaro. And then coming off of turn number 4, Menchaca tries to get in line right in front of Michael Triscaro, and it's not going to work. You'll see a gap open up right here, and Menchaca's thinking, okay, I've got to try to get in line, or my hopes in this race may be over. And boy, I mean, as they come off turn 4, even from this angle, the gap is never there. Menchaca's still in the middle. He's going to start to work his way down. And let's see what kind of sparks this incident. I don't know if he's trying to side draft here. But as the field worked its way off turn 4, you see him coming down, coming down, coming down. Oh, in fact, it's going to be start out back of Michael Triscaro, so I stand corrected. Menchaca gets turned by Nick Seipel, who's about a quarter lane off the yellow line. And that sends the 32 to his right. It sends Triscaro into the outside wall, the outside mess. Joe Stafford. Also the 43 machine is involved as well. It's Victor Pfluger. So a few early hitters from this race involved in this one after Nick Seipel got into Michael Menchaca. Coming off of turn number 4, we'll take another look at it here. And Menchaca, I'm not sure if he thinks there's going to be a gap that opens up here off of 4, if maybe he just was trying to side draft the bottom. Whatever the case, Seipel was far enough off the bottom. It registered some contact between the 75 and the 32, and it ends in trouble for Menchaca, Triscaro, Stafford, Lynch, and as well as Victor Pfluger. See right here. Oh, yeah, you know what? Menchaca, from that angle, even more so, I think, is just he's running in the middle, and Seipel is up off the bottom just a little bit more than Menchaca anticipates, and it's on from there.
Yeah, unfortunate for sure, and really unfortunate for Michael Triscaro. They're getting turned on the bottom. You know, Triscaro he's down on the double yellow, giving space as he's getting pushed by Seipel, and I think that's what Menchaca's lining up off of, is where Triscaro's car is. Not able to see in the blind spot where Seipel is on the bottom behind him, turns down end.
We're going to go on board with series owner Michael Triscaro as he gets hooked. It's going to be kind of a blind side, and you're along for the ride, and some wheel damage to the 34 as well as he slides to a stop right in front of Jonathan Herbert, who gets by this one. A tough break for Triscaro as he is not dead yet, though. Michael Triscaro back out on the racetrack with what appears to be a clean race car. I can't verify that for sure, but if he was able to limp it to pit road, he was able to take the faster pair. Okay, so Michael Triscaro's hope's not over yet. I was kind of wondering if he would just kind of limp it to pit road, go right to his pit stall, take the faster pair, and try to get back out, and that's exactly what he did. So for Triscaro, a second life. Menchaca into the same scenario here. We'll look back even further. Joe Stafford has appeared to call it a night here late, so his hopes are over. Joe Stafford eliminated. Looks like Jack Mummert has done the same. The 99's hopes to get into the race are over. They join Brandon Garand and Ryan Derrick behind the wall, out of this race and out of the PGR 500. All right, overtime attempt, the one and only attempt at overtime at Daytona. And again, here's a refresher on how this will work. If the leader gets to the white flag, the race is official. We will race it out no matter what. Results at the checkered flag will be the results of heat race number 4. As we saw last night, a couple last lap incidents. No cautions on the last lap here in the PGR 500. At least not in these races. The races will be scored at the checkered flag. If the caution flag comes out before the leader takes the white flag, it will be at the discretion of race control whether to throw that yellow flag or not. If that wreck happens up at the front, there will be a caution thrown, the race will be over, and iRacing scoring will determine the final results of heat number 4. But if we get back to the white flag, forget everything I just said. We're going to race this thing out. Both heats last night got to the white flag in the overtime attempt and finished under green flag conditions. So we have only had to use it twice. We did not have to use the overtime in heat number 3. Let's see if we can get by with only green flag conditions here along the way. But Liebert Nagels on the front row, Milam Mistretta on the second row, and notably Baker, those teammates still lined up against the safer barrier.
Yeah, excited to see where this one takes us towards the end of the race. As we're trying to get this next session up, had enough time here between the cautions to hopefully get it up here. But we'll see Michael Truscaro. Can he throw another Hail Mary like he did in the SummerSlam to get himself back? But, man, really, really excited to watch this restart here. See what Cody Nagels can do to get towards the front. Parker White making his way up back towards the front as well.
2 laps to go at Daytona in heat number 4. 5 men will transfer into the dual races on Saturday. 8 more will transfer into our last chance qualifier events earlier in Saturday's afternoon session. Here we go. Green flag. Liebert off to the races on the bottom. Milam to his aid. On the outside, it's the 2 teammates, Nagels and Mistretta. They are connected, but not quick enough. The bottom lane gets connected first. Now you're going to see some side drafting here from Cody Nagels. He will stay on the door as the field rises the banking.
Tries to stay on the door, but he knows he wants to qualify in. Not going to risk some netcode here. On the bottom side, everyone's shuffling out back, trying to get around. They're kind of out of it right now, but Cody Nagels with a big push from Chase Mistretta, his teammate, with Tommy Gossett to follow on the back bumper. If I'm these 3, I'm going down. I'm side drafting everything whenever it gets to me, but they are rolling here on the top side. Bottom side starts to form up. Cody Nagels staying all the way to the wall with Chase Mistretta. They are 2 by 2 coming out of 4.
And coming back to the white flag, it'll be 1 lap to go at Daytona. We're going to finish it right here under green flag conditions. Back around the transfer spot. Tommy Gossett is fit, the last man in the duels. The last man in right now will be Nick Seipel, but he's in a 3-wide battle for it. Back up the banking in 1.
And he goes 3 wide. I did that last night, got wrecked out of it. Hopefully he doesn't do the same. Side drafting all it's worth back there for that 13th spot. They're all over the track. Oh, one gets kind of out of shape. Seipel, 1 around.
Yeah, it's Cole Larson that was around, but it's outside the transfer. Tommy Gossett gets turned. The 80 goes sideways. His race over before his eyes. Into 3 and 4 for the final time. Teammates topside. Milam will join them, and now Jarrett Liebert's kind of in a dangerous position. Through the banking of 3 and 4. Look at Thomas Bennett through the middle. They're going to crash him up behind the leaders. Milam, Liebert, Landwehr all crash. Cody Nagels wins, and it's a scramble behind them.
Finish Nightmare 1-2, absolutely dominating the race all the way through, and just really bad block to the middle looks like, I mean, out of 4, just absolute calamity.
We're going to have to wait on official scoring. Obviously, it's now going to be interesting, too. We'll get to the storyline on why it will be interesting here in a moment. So we know for sure Nagels is in. We know for sure Mistretta is in. The scoring is all over the place here, so we'll have to wait until the results are coming up to know for sure. Unofficially, they're on the ticker on the left side of your screen. It's Nagels, Mistretta, Hunter Hastings, Justin Branham, and Adam Young that will transfer into the dual races on Saturday afternoon. The remainder of the transfers, and again, this could completely change. This is very much unofficial at this point. Tobias Matheson is in 6th. Tanner Sims in 7th. What a recovery for Parker White, who makes it in 8th. Yakov Kirsanov in 9th, and Thomas Bennett in 10th. Dalton Milam survives a last lap crash in 11th. Adolfo Delgado, involved in 2 incidents in this heat race, makes it in 12th unofficially. And here's the interesting one. Nick Seipel, after getting into Cole Larson in turn 2, we're going to have to wait and see for Seipel and for Thomas Bennett exactly what the potential discipline is here on the last lap. Again, there is a system in place to provide EOLs, end-of-line penalties, that is, to guys who cause caution flags on the last lap, especially around those transfer spots. Let's go back and take a look. We're going to try to dissect everything that happened on this last lap as we get ready to launch heat number 5. I believe that heat, by the way, will be starting a little bit late because of the issues with the session, so hold tight on that. Well, this is after the field took the white flag. We're going to go back first to Nick Seipel in a heated battle between Seipel, Sims, Branham, there's Cole Larson, and there's Adam Young. And Seipel gets into the left rear there of Cole Larson. Let's try to dissect it a little bit more. I'm hitting wrong buttons up here as we try to dissect this incident. Let's go up top. We're going to go up top for all of these. It's going to be the easiest way to determine everything that happened. So coming off turn 2, here's Nick Seipel and Cole Larson, and let's see here. Okay, so to me, Seipel, appears to hold his line. He gets into Cole Larson, but to me, no harm, no foul there. I don't think there was anything egregious from Nick Seipel in the 75. Let's go up front now to what happens up towards the very front of this pack. The first incident we're going to watch here is Tommy Gossett. Thomas Bennett to the middle. Oh, man, Gossett tried to turn down on his nose. Oh, what a tough break. As the 80 of Gossett goes for a slide through the grass, he tried to make a last-second move and hesitated. And now we'll go up further. We're going to keep this on. We're going to go up front because, again, there's more trouble that happens up front. So, again, Gossett tries to turn down. No harm, no foul there either. It's unfortunate for Tommy Gossett that he's going to be out, but it was a move of his own volition. Now, this one is where it gets really interesting. Oh, it actually comes from the bottom line. So, Thomas Bennett, if you're watching, that's my apologies. I thought Thomas Bennett sparked this last lap incident. He did not. Oh my goodness, look at him piling in after the checkered flag. So I thought Thomas Bennett, with the move to the middle, sparked this incident. It actually sparks on the bottom. Watch Yakov Kirsanov and Parker White on the bottom side of the racetrack. They're tandem up. And now I'm curious. Let's see here. Is that a push from White? Is that netcode? Let's go back again. Oh, it's right rear netcode to me between the 13 of Kirsanov, the 17 of Bennett. And that's what brings them together. And Bennett gets up into the 66 of Landwehr. And this is chaos as the scramble begins. Milam gets turned. White gets involved. A couple of other cars coming, kind of trying to get through the incident. And one of them is Tobias Matheson there in that 75. Justin Branham. Look at Adam Young. Adam Young was 17th on the backstretch. And he's racing in the duels. Tanner Sims, Matheson, Kirsanov, they're all bouncing off each other here. All trying to gun for transfer spots. Bennett just trying to foot to the floor. Same with Parker White, just trying to make it back to the checkered flag. We're going to take one more look. And then we'll get to official scoring. And we're going to go on board. I want to see it. We're going to go all the way from the backstretch here. Look at where Adam Young is off of turn number 4. Folks, he is in position number 13. He's barely even going to make the race. So let's go back here all the way to the backstretch after the Tommy Gossett and Nick Seipel incidents. And let's watch from Adam Young. So Adam Young, coming to the white flag, was 17th on the Speedway. And we're riding along for one of the most entertaining last laps in a PGR event that I can remember. With a 22 of Adam Young, flashbacks to Michael Triscaro. So watch this as stuff starts to happen around him. You're going to see Gossett. There goes Tommy Gossett. And I may not even talk over this. I may let the onboard do the talking here. Watch this, the miracle run for Adam Young into the VRX Simulators Duels. Here you go. The seas part. And Adam Young is racing in dual race number 1, the final man to transfer in a miracle run here in heat race number 4. Incredible stuff. Let's get into the finishing results because then we got to hop over quickly here and go into heat race number 5 as the time is backed up against us. Cody Nagels wins heat number 4 for Nightmare Esports. He will advance right into the dual race, led almost wire to wire into this one. His teammate Chase Mistretta will be racing with him in dual race number 1 on Saturday afternoon. Hunter Hastings, what a recovery. Do you remember that hit that Hunter Hastings took 5 laps into this race? He just finished 3rd for Roughneck Racing. He'll be racing in the dual races on Saturday. Justin Branham will be racing in the duels. He'll finish 4th. And Adam Young, after the miracle run in the 22, he finishes 5th and will be racing in dual race number 1. Here are the 8 drivers that have advanced to Saturday's LCQ as of now, unofficially. And again, I still wait for a call from race control on anything on the last lap, but to me, nothing too egregious. I think these are the 8 men that will advance into the last chance qualifier. Here they are. Tobias Matheson finishes position number 6. Tanner Sims in position number 7. Parker White, the defending Coke Series champion, in position number 8. Yakov Kirsanov in position number 9. Thomas Bennett in position number 10. Dalton Meelam in position number 11. Adolfo Delgado, what a great story for him. He finishes in position number 12. And Nick Seipel, the final transfer spot, in position number 13. Nathaniel Landwehr is the first man eliminated tonight in 14th. Jonathan Herbert in 15th. Michael Triscaro, no miracle in the cards for him this time. He finishes 16th. Wesley Lynch in 17th. Victor Pfluger in 18th. Ryan Wingate in 19th. And Dejan Monte in 20th. Jarrett Liebert in the 21st position is out as well after a dominant run. Liebert gets collected in the last lap melee on the front stretch and goes from in to out just like that. Quentin Steinbach in 22nd. Robert Rochelle in 23rd. Cole Larson in 24th. Tommy Gossett in 25th. Another few guys that I'm really shocked to see out of this race. Gossett in 25th. Michael Menchaca in 26th. Joe Stafford in 27th. Jack Mummert in 28th. Brandon Garand in 29th. And Ryan Derrick, the final man in the field tonight, in position number 30. What a race that was. The first real chaos around a transfer position happens right there at the end of heat race number 4. But it was a barn burner for sure. Cody Nagels, the defending Omega Cup Spring Bowl champ, will have a chance now to pull off one of the most extreme feats in sim racing, winning the ERA race last spring, winning the most PGR races of anyone in PGR's history, as well as the first annual PGR 500. Surely would make a case for best in the business if he were to do that. What a race here in heat number 4. We are going to get switched over. It's going to be a very quick transition here to heat number 5, so stay with us. We'll be right back for coverage of heat number 5. You will not want to miss a thing. Go get something to drink. Make it quick because we're going to be racing in very short order. We'll be right back. Good evening once again from Daytona, and welcome back into the final heat race of the night, night 2 of the 2025 PGR 500 event. We're getting to it quickly here because of a bit of a time crunch from heat 4 to heat 5 and some logistical issues as well. So we're going to get right into the action. Joining me in the booth here for heat number 5, he was here for heat number 3. Again, the man that raced his way into the LCQ race last night. It is Landon Veliky once again joining me for heat number 5. Landed some chaos at the end of heat number 4. A race that saw the highest of highs and the lowest of lows for a lot of different drivers and some more kind of big names, big hitters that will not be making an appearance in the PGR 500.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was in here in the session spectating the whole event for my teammates Cody Nagels and Chase Mistretta, and they went out there and they did it. It was impressive, honestly, seeing them do that. And it was unfortunate we had Michael Giscaro in there too, helping him, and Nick Seipel as well. And Mike unfortunately got taken out later. He's one of those big names out, as well I should say as Jarrett Liebert out when he was in fourth position out of turn 4. And that's just how quickly things can get turned on their head, up on their noses. It's totally insane. You never know what the results are until they're truly done and finalized. It's going to be thrilling to watch this heat, which, in my personal opinion, this heat that we're about to show you right now is honestly probably the hardest hitting one yet. The hardest, most difficult one, considering some of the names that we got here. We got some pros of iRacing in general, some Coke Series drivers. We got the pros of the Super Speedway side, some very aggressive side drivers, PGR winners in here. I'll tell you what, this one's going to be as wild, if not even more wild, Dawson.
Oh yeah, this one's going to be good. We put up the driver list in heat number 4, and this one has got a who's who of Super Speedway racing. We'll get to that in a minute. Guys are on the track for qualifying, and that is notable now. Excuse me, that is notable now because the front row remains the same. It is still Alex Coffey and Wyatt Tinsley on the front row for the PGR 500 as of right now. But a number of aces here of qualifying that are taking laps, taking times for their first attempt at the pole to potentially knock Wyatt Tinsley off of the front row or knock Alex Coffey out of the event altogether. And as we get ready to start heat number 5, again, we'll remind you the top 2 overall times from all 8 heats, so 2 drivers total, will lock their way into the feature event. So far, there There's not been a lap that is as good as the front row was coming in, and that includes Michael Cozy Jr., Michael Guest. 49.14, 49.15 is not going to be enough to get themselves onto the front row. There's a 49.13, but even that, not quite good enough. A couple drivers left to go. Again, we'll remind you of the format of the heat race as we get going in heat number 5. The top 5 advance right into the duels as more laps come in. Those ones might be close. We're going to have to look here in just a second. But
Ethan Eckert's going to be in. Sorry to interrupt.
No
Ethan Eckert's
worries.
going to be in with this qualifying time he just put down. Give me one moment. I'm going to check what exactly it was. A 1:07.
Wow!
From Ethan Eckert for the pole, and Kyler Wynn a 1:10. That is going to be your new front row, depending on what Alex Coffey's time was, into the tens of thousands of seconds. But Ethan Eckert now locked in currently. Oh, there's another. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone else hopped up, and I thought another one came through. Ethan Eckert currently the pole sitter and locked into the PGR 500 with a 49.107. What a blazer.
So we'll get to that in just a second. A reminder of the format before we get going. The top 5 finishers in this race will advance to dual race number 2. Remember that. These are the first 5 into dual race number 2, which will start at 5:30 p.m. The next 8, 6th through 13th finishing position will advance into the last chance qualifier. So a total of 13 transfer, 5 into the duels, 8 into the last chance qualifier number 2. Again, the first 8 into last chance qualifier number 2, which will start at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday afternoon. But let's get back to it very quickly because we're about to go to the grid. And in fact, we'll let it lead us into the grid as we head trackside for the start of heat number 5. And it is the blazing qualifying lap of Ethan Eckert. One of the regulars on the money racing scene is on provisional pole for the PGR 500. And that is a blazer of a lap. And I'll tell you, and I don't mean any disrespect to Ethan when I say this, but certainly knowing the quality of guys we had in here, like a Michael Cozy, like a Michael Guest, like a Cody Nagels, like a Matthew Baker, guys that have really practiced for over a week, and they were already qualifying aces. For Ethan Eckert to grab a 1:07, a statement for the driver of the 12 as he gets ready to lead off this 5th heat race, the final one of the night. And let's get down trackside for the starting grid. On the pole, like Landon just said a moment ago, a time of 49.107. It is Ethan Eckert in the 12. He goes to provisional pole in the event. He'll be on the pole here for heat race number 5. Kyler Wynn, the defending winner of the Podium 500, will start to his outside in position number 2. In that 82, he'll be the 29 on your timing and scoring. Row 2, Kenneth McCullough Jr., one of the veterans of the money racing community, will start from position number 3. It'll be Aaron Brown that starts in position number 4. Row 3, another Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, Graham Bolin in the 88 will start from 5th. It'll be Dalton Steele for the R&R team that will start in 6th. Row 4, Jackson Byes in the 60 will roll from 7th. Nash Brambilla in the 23, part of a team PGR, will roll from 8th. And round row number 5, rounding out the top 10, position number 9, Evan Gilbert in the 9. And position number 10, one of the heaviest hitters in the entire PGR 500 field, it's the 34, the Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, Michael Cozy Jr.
Also, some massive names starting row 6 through 10 in this one. Dale Tanhart, the very recognizable name, will be starting P11. Cody Curran, 12th. Devin Maines in 13th. Michael Guest, Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver as well, will be 14th. Eric Papineau, 15th. Ryan Streckengoss, 16th. Austin Halsey in 17th. Eddie Kerner, the new graduate to the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, in 18th. Ron Hunter, 19th, and then Derek Stanley in 20th.
Looking back towards the tail end of the field, starting 21st, Sterling Theis in the 41 with Michael Wingo to his outside in 22nd. Row 12, Sedarius Mercy in the 27 alongside Alex Bonsignor in the 22. Row 13, Stephen Luttrell in the 82 machine alongside Joshua Highbaugh in the 48. Row 14 to be Steve Sizemore, and then another name to watch. It's Justin Champagne in the 38 machine. He'll roll from 28th. And on the final row, it's Mauricio Marquez Ramos and Axel Smith in the 97. Rounding out what should be a barn burner of a heat race. If you wanted the big names, if you wanted the intensity of a big race feel super speedway event, you've got it in this one. The biggest of names so far, this one rivaled by only heat number 7, which will be tomorrow night, in terms of the top-heavy nature of it, the quality of the upper echelon of this field. This is going to be some incredible super speedway racing. Very quickly, before we go green, let's get a look at the race info. Again, presented by Coasting Thunder. I want to thank them for their sponsorship of tonight's heat races. They sponsored heat number 5 as well. It's the NASCAR Next Gen Cup Series cars. It's 30 laps of the Daytona International Speedway, 2.5 miles in length. It's 100% fuel in these cars. No pit stops needed unless you have damage. Unlimited tire sets. Should you slide them, you have unlimited sets in the pits. A fast repair. Your race is not over if you are in a wreck. You have a chance to basically reset physically and mentally with a fast repair in the pits. It's a fixed setup event. And that one overtime, which we've needed in 3 of the 4 heats so far, comes back here again for heat number 5. Well, here we go. Gotta imagine the man on pole's feeling pretty good right now. Ethan Eckert runs the best lap of the week so far and will now lead the field into the Geico restart zone for the first time tonight in heat number 5. Final one of the night. We're into the second half of our heat races for the PGR 500. Green flag, we're racing from Daytona. Down the Daytona super stretch for the first time in heat number 5, and already trouble out back. It was Michael Cozy, I believe, that got around, and there's cars around already, and on the opening lap, we're under the caution flag for the first time here in heat number 5, and it was not Michael Cozy. I apologize for that. It looked a lot like his Coke Series car from last night. It was another car that looked similar that got out of shape. We're under the caution flag for the first time in this event on lap number 1 here of heat number 5. Let's go back and take a look. It started back here around, around Evan Gilbert, and it's not Michael Cozy. It's actually Michael Guest, so I was pretty close there on my assessment of which Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver was in this incident. And it's Gilbert and Tanhart that kind of are the starting point of this one. Let's try to get a little bit better angle maybe as they rolled down the Daytona super stretch, and we were just getting underway. Oh man, this angle is not going to help either. Is there a stack up on the bottom? Does Tanhart maybe look to the middle? Something happens here. Oh, it's a checkup. Look up ahead. Kenny McCullough on the left side of your screen. Graham Bolin, a couple other cars as well, jumping on the brakes, and as Gilbert tries to, they get out of shape around Tanhart and Guest and Gilbert. And they all three go for a slide. It's really only actually Evan Gilbert that's going to spin. And boy, for how this one started, I thought for sure that was going to be a much bigger incident than it actually was. Let's go high above and get a better idea. So it is Tanhart into Michael Guest. And let's see here. So as Tanhart goes to move up, look at that gap in behind the 21 of Michael Guest. And I think what Tanhart wants to do here is squeeze into that gap, and you have to time it perfectly. It's either that or it's a move to the middle, and at the same time Michael Guest moves to the middle, and maybe they both ran out of real estate. They're moving for the same spot. Or maybe Tanhart was trying to get to the wall. Michael Guest wanted to go to the middle. They come together nonetheless, and Evan Gilbert is the unfortunate recipient of most of this incident. Now, to be fair, a slide through the grass is about as much as he's going to receive, but nonetheless still involved. Let's get one more angle of this one. It's a pretty straightforward incident. That's not what we were looking for. Let's get one last angle here of the slide through the grass for Evan Gilbert. And he goes through the infield grass, hops the curbs a little bit right there of that little access road. And goes for a slide, but pretty straightforward. Evan Gilbert still in the race, not much damage either, so he'll very much be able to keep going in this one. But Landon, you tell me, is that more Tanhart looking to the top? Or are they both looking to the middle? What did you see on that one?
Well, from the top-down view that I was just looking at right here, it looked like Tanhart was just trying to make a move up to the middle and just misjudged it and ended up turning Michael Guest. And like you said, Evan Gilbert absolutely blindsided on that bottom line, getting swiped down, spun back out through the grass, a wild, fast ride through the grass, but very little damage. Looks like, looking back live, he's got it all fixed up now. But yeah, just from what my view was, just a mistimed move by Tanhart in the 81 up to the top, and just trying to get up to the top. If that's a desirable lane choice to kind of ride up there, protect yourself up there, play a little defense. Tried to get up there and unfortunately, it just wasn't there for him.
So here we go, under the caution flag for the first time, and it was early. And as I talked about heat number 4, and as well as heat number 3, and I also mentioned it last night, these opening laps of this first heat race, the first time you're on track the entire week, are the longest. They're the most nerve-wracking as a driver because you have no rhythm. You have no idea at that point what some of the guys around you are going to do, how the race is going to play out. Kind of, you're letting the race come to you, but also you're trying to get rid of those jitters here early in the week. And for a caution flag to happen on lap 1, it's like you basically reset that clock now. This is essentially another go at the initial start. And I kind of parallel it to dirt racing. In dirt racing, you know, when they wreck on the first lap, they just re-rack and literally do it again. They don't even count the lap. I know the laps are going to count tonight, but it's a similar story. We made it half a lap, the caution flag comes out, and you basically now have to mentally reset as a driver and think, all right, well, I still have the jitters. They're still there. They're just going to take about a 5-minute break, and then we're going to get right back to it. So an interesting scenario here in Heat 5. This is the earliest we've had a caution flag in any of the heat races so far this week, and certainly throws some of these rhythms for a loop of these guys towards the front of the field. Kyler Wynn gets to the lead on the opening start. Ethan Eckert drops to 5th. It's Aaron Brown that runs 2nd. Dalton Steele 3rd. Nash Rambilla in 4th. Eckert is 5th. Cozy is in position number 6. Cody Curran is 7th. Kenny McCullough is in 8th. Graham Bolin is 9th. And Jackson Byes is in 10th. Looking further back towards those transfer spots, Devin Maines in 11th. Ryan Schreckengost in 12th. Eddie Kerner back there in the final spot in 13th right now. So some interesting names back around the transfer spot, and some names towards the back now. They're going to have some more work to do. Dale Tanhart, Michael Guest, Evan Gilbert was involved in an incident. Justin Champagne is starting to work his way through the field as well as we get ready for a restart on lap number 5. Kyler Wynn, again, a guy that knows a little bit about what he's doing here on these plate racing tracks. Again, the winner of last year's Podium 500 special event. Cody Nagels, who you saw in the last heat, the winner of the Omega Cup Spring Bowl a couple weeks later. Basically the defending winners of these marquee 500-mile events, both in back-to-back heats. Nagels won his. We'll see what the results are here for the 82 of Kyler Wynn. Pace car is down, and here we go. We're going to try this again. 26 laps to go. Complete reset of the field. Snap. Clear, green flag back in the air on lap 5. It's a good jump for Kyler Wynn. He'll jump on the bumper of Aaron Brown, headed back towards turn number 1, and now that leaves Dalton Steele, Ethan Eckert, and a couple of others in no man's land as they climb the banking.
Yeah, absolutely no help. Ethan Eckert bails on Dalton Steele. He's going to hop up in front of Jackson Byes, someone I would assume that he's working with in this event. Graham Bolin going to be sliding in behind him. These Coke drivers out here, a lot of them outside of Cozy that I've seen, still have their paints on from last night's Clash event here in this very same cars at the very same track. Kerner, Cozy, Guest, or not Cozy, the other one. Yeah, I'm kind of losing track of all of them in here now. It's crazy that we have a field so stacked with all these Coke guys in here. But right now, lots of single file going on. See, everyone's just kind of seeming content to ride around, log some laps in. That might be due to some of the experience in the field. They know, okay, look, it's a sprint, yes, not exactly a marathon, but at the end of the day, there's still 25 laps to go here. Let's not do anything crazy just yet.
So far, no one really doing much in the terms of craziness. Michael Guest and Dale Tanhart out back. You see them back towards the back of the field. They're starting to make some more, bold moves. Oh, crash, trouble right in front, right as I went to Michael Guest. And you're going to come up on it here. And it is Ron Hunter in the 30. A couple of other cars involved as well. Literally right as I clicked over to Michael Guest. This crash starts halfway up through the field. Another crash inside of the first 6 laps of the race. Let's see what happens in this one. This is back around Ron Hunter. A couple of other cars are going to get involved in this one as well. As that is the 41 Sterling Theis, the 82 of Stephen Luttrell, and the 8 car, I can't exactly tell which car that is. Might be Sedarius Percy. And Hunter gets turned off the bumper of the Zone Chevrolet. He's going to go up into the outside wall. One car blinking. That's Michael Wingo. Boy, huge damage for Michael Wingo. Goodness, tires falling off of that machine. The front end actually does come back, but that was a big hit. And then Percy is actually going to hit the wall again. So big damage aboard that machine as well. And same for Ron Hunter. This is a little bit more significant than the wrecks we saw even in the last heat race before the last lap. Let's take another look. This is one that kind of all happens at once. You see Theis up there on the safer barrier. He's going to come down on the bumper of Ron Hunter, and it's too late. Well, actually, no. The move was clean. He gets all the way across the bumper. Oh, Ron Hunter backed out of the throttle. Maybe a little bit spooked by that move by Sterling Theis, and then he gets turned by Cedarius Percy and shoots back to his right. I mean, this is a violent move back to the right for Hunter. They collect Wingo. One car just barely misses it. That was the Luttrell machine, I think. There's 3 82 cars in this field tonight with paint schemes labeled number 82, and only one is 82 in the session, so we'll have to get that cleared up here in just a moment. For Hunter, Percy, and Wingo, a tough break, and landing some of the most significant damage of the heat races is in this wreck.
Yeah, especially for Michael Wingo. We'll point out there's a few guys in this crash that did narrowly avoid it. Justin Champagne being one of them. When I initially heard the accident switch to it, I saw Champagne kind of loose down there on the apron, but he was actually okay. Michael Guest, Dale Tanhart also narrowly escaping disaster in this one. Kind of seeing that wreck happen in front of him. There is a kind of bit of a side crash back here, actually, now that I look back. Someone else getting spun in the back. I'm not able to see exactly who that is. It looks like they're going to get away okay. It's the 48 machine. Joshua Highbaugh getting a little piece of this as well. But, yeah, massive damage to Michael Wingo in the 01. I think he's going to have to tow his car back, and he'll end up a lap down. Cedarius Percy as well. Just my perspective on that crash, there was a checkup right there. Ron Hunter letting off of the gas. Not really sure why he did in that scenario. Maybe just, like you said, spooked by Sterling Theis coming down the track. And then Cedarius Percy sees that as an opportunity in that Kyle Busch car. He wants to, if he's going to let off and he's going to move up the track, then I'm going to go around him. But he rode a little high up off the yellow line, ended up turning him, but things happen so fast that you can't really put a lot of blame on him for that. But it's just unfortunate, and I'll tell you, this heat's kind of having the same tune as the last one did. Not a lot of green flag racing going on here.
Couple onboards. The first was with Mauricio Marquez Ramos, which was that second incident that Landon mentioned. You saw him get turned off the bumper of Highbaugh. Now you're on board with Luttrell, who's right behind the initial crash. And look at this. This is very narrow. Woo! Boy, take a breath there. If you're Steven Luttrell, that was as close as it gets for the 82 machine. And a tough break for Hunter, for Percy, and for Wingo. But for a few guys, really, really lucky there to avoid bigger damage. Second caution of the night, 23 laps to go in heat number 5. The front has not really changed a lot. Wynn, Brown, Brambilla, Cozy, McCullough still your top 5. Eckert, Buys, Steele, Bolin, and Curran, the top 10. That has really not changed. Hasn't really had much of an opportunity to change. Some big movers, +8 for Steven Luttrell, +8 for Steve Sizemore in 19th, and +8 for Justin Champagne in 20th. +6 for Sterling Theis, who was just somewhat involved in that incident. Same for Michael Cozy. +6 for Mauricio Marquez Ramos towards the back of the field as well. So the 1-to-go signal has been given. We're going to go back green again. And really, we found more of a rhythm that time, but not still enough of a rhythm, I don't think, for these guys to feel comfortable yet. I don't think we've gotten far enough into a run for these guys to settle down and take a breath and say, okay, we're good, let's race. I don't think we've really gotten to that point yet, Landon. And at this point in the race, I know the guys up front are ready to do that, but the guys out back still not yet comfortable.
Well, the guys at the front did have that rhythm, and they were ready to move forward with that rhythm. The problem is the guys at the back that started to panic under the threat of, hey, we might lose the draft right here. Everyone's single file, and they were still racing back there. From that panic comes a crash like that kind of situation we just had right there. It's unfortunate for the guys at the front because, like we just saw right there, these guys, I know we didn't really have a green flag run right here, but they seemed content to just ride on the wall, log some laps down. But the guys at the back, they know they can't do that, and honestly, they shouldn't. They have to move forward. They know if they are 14th back, they are not moving any further on in this. So it's within their purview, and they have to race as hard as possible. But at the front, like you said, unchanged. Kyler Wynn, Aaron Brown, Nash Brambilla, Michael Cozy, Kenny McCullough, top 5. And there's just these heavy hitters, I should say. Most of them are in a transfer position right now, sitting around in the top 10. But the guys that we mentioned that are out of it right now, Kerner hanging on by a thread in 13th. Who else we got here? We got Luttrell. I know that's a pretty new. It's a newer name, but someone that I've been told was very good at when it comes to super speedway racing. Justin Champagne, Michael Guest, Dale Tanhart, Alex Bonsignor, who's apparently Justin Bonsignor, the modified driver, is his cousin. Apparently, I was told that as well. So that's really cool to have him out here. But he's someone also way out in the back right now. These guys are going to have to make something happen and make it quick to work their way through this field with 21 laps to go.
Well, Kyler Wynn brings the field back into the race start zone. Green flag, and again, it's a very similar look to this race start Win out to a big jump on the push of Brambilla. He'll jump right to the top side and up to the safer barrier to the help of Aaron Brown. Michael Cozy, Ethan Eckert. Another car just jumped in line. That's Jackson Bies a little further back, 5th on the outside. Brambilla leads the bottom with Kenny McCullough, 2 of the regulars in the money racing scene, and now they'll get some help from Graham Bolin. McCullough bails. He goes to the top side, does the 0-3, and now Brambilla will as well. On the bottom now, it's the pair of Coke Series drivers, Graham Bolin and Eddie Kerner, that lead the bottom line as the field works down the Daytona Superstretch. They've got help coming as well. How close to the front will Graham Bolin get? Remember, he and Kerner were both involved in the late stages of that clash race last night.
They sure enough were, and what better combo to have leading the bottom lane right now with Graham Bolin and Eddie Kerner doing a fantastic job tandeming away from their help behind them in Schreckengost and Theiss, but they are motoring to the front, 3 wide in the back. There was a little bit of a 4-car breakaway from Wynn, Brown, Cozy, and Eckert, but it didn't last long.
Oh, Michael Guest! Oh, Michael Guest gets started to get turned, but he saves it. Michael Guest.
What a save by Michael Guest.
Wow, that was impressive from the driver of the 21 as he kept that car straight, and impressive for the guys around him to keep it under control. We work back up towards the front. Those guys are going to have to line up now, get in line and move back to the front. Guest is going to lead the charge with Evan Gilbert to get the field rolling back towards these leaders. But up front, man, look at what we missed. Bolin and Kerner have rolled all the way to the race lead. It's now a pair of Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers up front, riding the safer barrier. They leave now the bottom, which is led by Ryan Schreckengost. Sterling Theiss is down there. A couple of other cars down on the bottom as well. Eric Papineau and a couple of others along the bottom side. Field working back towards turn number 1. And look at the heavy hitters up top, 6, 7, 8 cars deep on the top is either regulars or the guys that are the very top of the iRacing oval scene.
Ethan Eckert to the middle with a move from Nash Brambilla. Kenny McCullough going to follow along. Jackson Bice as well. They're not content sitting 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and line on the top.
Brambilla! Oh,
saving
my
it.
goodness.
What a save by Nash Brambilla. Still going to be hooked up with Ethan Eckert here heading into turn 3. Up top, though, it's still just this line of Coke guys and former Coke guys, at least, or guys that are soon to be on their way. Bolin, Kerner, Wynn, Brown, Eckert making his way up to 5th. What shades of what Bolin and Kerner just did together, Eckert and Brambilla trying to create it down there on the bottom, 18 laps to go.
And 2 big-time saves. Michael Guest a few laps ago, and now Nash Brambilla as well. Move to the middle, move to side draft, rather. Kyler Wynn to the right side door of Nash Brambilla, but look at the push on the bottom side. Ethan Eckert, the provisional pole sitter, will go to the race lead. He'll go to the top of the push now of Graham Bolin. On the inside, it's Brambilla, Jackson Bies, Kenny McCullough, Ryan Schreckengost, and more cars out back. Devin Maines has joined, and guess who? Oh, look at the middle. The Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers are taking Ethan Eckert to school. Graham Bolin to the lead, Kerner back to second, Eckert going the wrong way. Oh, trouble! It's going to involve Kyler Wynn, Michael Cozy, big crash out back, and this has got some heavy hitters involved in turn number 4.
This is the big one. This is absolutely the big one in numeric numbers and in the heavy hitters that were just taken out in this one. Kyler Wynn, Ethan Eckert is destroyed. He has to tow his car away. Who we got? Michael Cozy going to get a piece. There goes Schreckengost in the wall. Aaron Brown involved. That's four or five extremely high favorites to win this heat race taken out in turn 4. We need to go back and take a look at it, Dawson.
We're doing just that right now. Ethan Eckert was alongside Eddie Kerner and Kyler Wynn. He's side drafting to keep his spot. And where does the trouble come from here? Is it an offset push? Oh, no, it's Schreckengost. Ryan Schreckengost is a whole lane off the bottom. He gets into Kyler Wynn and Aaron Brown, who get into Eckert. And it is on from here, and this becomes a melee really fast. Michael Cozy, nowhere to go. Eckert, nowhere to go. Aaron Brown, Kyler Wynn, Michael Guest almost getting involved, and Dalton Steele up in front of this. Sterling Theiss involved. There you see Steele into the wall. Some more cars in front of this incident getting involved up around Dale Tanhart's region as well. I mean, this is the heaviest hitting wreck of the entire heat race session so far between yesterday and today in terms of drivers taken out. Michael Cozy, Aaron Brown looked to be okay. Schreckengost maybe, but you heard about Ethan. He had to tow. You see Dale Tanhart going for a slide down on the bottom side on the apron. Goodness, this is a really tough break, and it happened at a bad time. And I talked about this last night with Garrett Caswell's incident back in heat number 1, if you'll remember that one. And I said at that point, when 2 things happen at once and guys end up in the same real estate, bad things happen. And in this scenario, Ethan Eckert gets split by Graham Bolin and Eddie Kerner. You see Eckert go to the top. He's side drafting, so pushing that line down, And at the same time, Schreckengost gets up the racetrack, and all three of those lines come together at once. And look at these guys bouncing off each other, pinballing. There's Cozy. Here comes Steele. And then up ahead, you'll see Dale Tanhart and others get involved as well. Oh, Tanhart actually gets piled into by, I can't tell which car that was. I believe it was the Marquez Ramos and the Luttrell machines that pile into that one. Oh, man, and then Tanhart plays pinball here for a moment. A couple other cars involved as well. Cody Curran, Dalton Steele, Steve Sizemore. This is the biggest wreck of the heat races so far, and it takes out many of the heaviest hitters in heat number 5.
Yeah, I didn't even catch the part. Tanhart spinning out right here. Pretty solid damage on both sides of his car. Going to need to get that fixed up. But, I mean, yeah, just an insane kind of crash to have happen right here. And the names that are taken out it's an impressive list of names. Now, granted, yes, they have a faster pair, but like guys like Ethan Eckert, in his case, when you have to tow your car, you are at risk of going laps down. And right now, Ethan Eckert is still sitting in pit road with a destroyed race car. Now, it just now got fixed, so he's going to go back out. It looks like he's only going to be 1 lap down. If timing and scoring is playing ball correctly, he's going to be 1 lap down. But now he's down a faster pair, still half of this race to go.
We'll go back live about the halfway point here of heat number 5, and a lot of big names now in really, really tough positions. Kyler Wynn, the defending podium 500 champ, runs 20th. Michael Guest runs 19th. Michael Cozy runs 17th. You talk about even further back, Dale Tanhart 26th. And Ethan Eckert, boy, it went very quickly from the vibes are great and you're leading the race to Ethan Eckert now staring down the barrel of potentially having to rely on his qualifying time to get him into the PGR 500 event on Sunday. Now, let's be fair. A 49.107 is a good enough lap to most likely, and now again, still 3 heats tomorrow, but most likely be able to make it into the feature event, you know, should the guys tomorrow not run anything faster, or even now he has a bit of a buffer because now a guy can run a 108, a 109, a 110, and Ethan Eckert is fine. That big lap is helping him a ton because he is multiple laps down now, or excuse me, 1 lap down, I believe you said. He needs another caution, kind of a Hail Mary now for Ethan Eckert. But even for Guest, for Wynn, for Michael Cozy, for Dale Tanhart, the job just got harder, and for a few of those guys, you're now down to your final car.
Yeah, exactly. That's the largest issue with a faster pair. Sometimes races that do have a faster pair in them, it can change the tune of a race because people know they can rely on that, and it gives them an excuse to kind of race a lot harder. And I'm trying to find an appropriate term for what I'm trying to describe here, but when you have drivers up front here that are the caliber of some of these guys, like who they are, Kyler Wynn, Ethan Eckert, the Coke guys, Bolin, Kerner, they're going to be doing everything in their power to lead every lap of this race, and that's going to cause problems. And they also know they have that faster pair to lean on. Obviously, they don't want to take it soon enough or early on in the race, but as long as that's there, that's a little bit of safety in the bank for them. But guys like Ethan Eckert, that safety's gone. And now he's going to be starting a lap down. If and when he gets that lap back, he's going to be battling Sedarius Percy and Michael Wingo for the lucky dog position. Then he's got to do all his work again. Start from dead last, shotgun on the field to work his way back up to the front. He's going to be one to watch.
Now, again, it's interesting that we mentioned that. I'll get into this in a moment after we go back green, but Eckert is a little bit safer spot than, say, an Alex Coffey. You know, he still has a chance to get in based on the heat race, let alone his qualifying time should that get knocked off. Green flag back in the air with 14 laps to go. But, you know, Coffey now tied with a 110, and I can't remember for the life of me. I believe it was Kyler Wynn that tied that lap. In the case of ties, we're going to have a bit of a qualify off later in the week, and that's on the table now, barring any faster laps later in the week. For Eckert, he has to go do that work again to not suffer the same fate as potentially Alex Coffey and Matthew Baker. Graham Bull and Eddie Kerner got a good jump on the start. They're back up to the wall in front of Nash Rambilla, and they lead the race. Out back, the big move start. Dalton Steele to the middle. Kyler Wynn, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't go with him out back. On the bottom, it's Justin Champagne, the Don Julio Toyota Camry, starting to work his way forward, and no surprises there. But Champagne, one of the biggest names in the field, is starting to work forward. He's got help on his back bumper from Steve Sizemore, and that similar Wagoner's welding Mustang to so many of the cars that have run over the past couple of days. Look in the middle. Michael Guest, Kyler Wynn, they're starting to make it happen out back. Landon, big move starting out back behind those guys.
Yeah, keep an eye on contact. Cozy almost getting spun off. No problem there. He saves it. Once again, crazy saves here tonight. Michael Guest, Kyler Wynn rolling the middle, absolutely flying through the middle right now. They're stalling out a little bit. They're going to hop back down behind Steve Sizemore and Justin Champagne. Kyler Wynn still peeking up to the middle, showing Guest that he wants to go.
Ooh.
Contact back. Ethan Eckert's involved. He's saving it. He's saving it. Ethan Eckert still alive. Contact, though, that's not going to help his lucky dog positioning. But back at the front, Steve Sizemore getting a little hot down there trying to push Justin Champagne, and it is to their detriment as nobody wants to hop down to that bottom line and help him out.
Oh, man, these two up front have been so good. There goes Guest and Wynn, and now Champagne on the bumper of Michael Guest. Did he go too far? He did. Champagne went too far to the middle. Who get hung out? Guest and Kyler Wynn now on the war path back to the front of this field. Up front, Bolin and Kerner await their arrival along the safer barrier for now. Eddie Kerner gets a bit of a break here. The most relaxed he's been all night long. 12 laps to go at Daytona. Down the back straightaway, some jockeying back around Michael Cozy Jr. He starts to work forward. Boy, look at that confident move by Dalton Steele. That's not an average driver. He just dropped across the nose of going into 3. That was Michael Cozy, a driver in the Coke Series, a veteran of so many huge promotions in sim racing, and he just dropped across his nose like it was nothing. Dalton Steele showing the confidence out back. Cozy starting to come back forward. Cody Curran starting to come back forward as Michael Guest will go to the point, headed back to turn number 1.
That warpath you mentioned that Guest and Wynn are on, it's working out for him right now. The battle isn't too tough. Guest is going to be clear enough up in front of his fellow Coke drivers who he wants to take it, but right now he's going to stick with Kyler Wynn, try and get him clear as well. Looks like Graham Boland's going to park him down there just enough. Maybe, yeah, Kyler Wynn's not going to be able to take it unless that push down the backstretch. Oh, Kyler Wynn! What a save by Kyler Wynn. Guest is going to hop up to the top. He's going to rely on Justin Champagne and Axel Smith. What a story in that green and white 97 machine down there on the bottom third line.
Yeah, Axel Smith's driven a really nice race so far, but now he's in the role of lead pusher, and he's going to get maybe a little more than he bargained for. Oh, trouble out back. They're wrecking out back. It's Dale Tanhart that goes sideways in the 81 machine, and several others are involved with 10 laps to go in heat number 5, and it's Tanhart again. Third incident of the night for the 81, and a couple of others involved as well. Steve Sizemore going right to pit road. I believe Schreckengost and Marquez Ramos may have been involved as well. Let's go back to it. Another replay, and this starts in front of the 81, and actually he's going to start with Stephen Luttrell in the 82 and the 8. Or excuse me, that's not Stephen Luttrell. Okay, so we have 4 82 machines on track, I think. No, sorry, we don't. That's the 82 of Luttrell in front of Sizemore. They check up on the bottom right as Axel Smith got to lead pusher, and Luttrell's going to get one hit there from Sizemore. And does it just knock him around? He saves it there. Oh, man, but as he corrects back to his right, he's still trying to save it, and Sizemore by then gets to his left rear wheel and spins him sideways, and this is going to erupt into some chaos again. Watch as Luttrell gets kicked back to his right on the nose of Dale Tanhart. Nothing he could do. Cody Curran as well. And the Team Conti Chevrolet gets into this one. Nowhere to go for him. And as guys come into this, now they're all trying to avoid it. Ron Hunter may have very well missed it. No, he gets a piece of it right there. The 48 of Highbaugh is involved. There's Sizemore. A couple other cars as well. Oh, man, Ron Hunter. Oh, he's going to hit the inside wall, too. And the 22 is the other car involved. That's Alex Monsignor. And all those drivers come to a stop on the apron. And for Dale Tanhart, I mean, this is as tough a break as it gets. I mean, a bad night gone worse. He had just started to make his way back forward, too. And unfortunately, he's going to get involved in this one. Look up ahead. It's the 82 of Luttrell, and he's got it saved. Then he doesn't, then he does, then he doesn't. And I think he's going to here, but Sizemore fills the gap. And by then, Luttrell comes back down across his nose, turns both of those cars sideways, and then watch. Literally, Sizemore kicks that 82 out to the right, and it's a melee from there on the front stretch. Several more cars involved.
I mean, you got to feel for guys like Dale Tanhart. I mean, it seems like every PGR race Tanhart's in, even if he's doing well, it just bad luck always seems to find him, and there he is, wrong place, wrong time for the third time in this race. His damage doesn't look critical, I will say. He should still be in with a shot to at least transfer through right here. But if he does, I mean, that thing's been through war, that 81 machine has. But yeah, just a little bit of a awkward push to Stephen Luttrell, and it gets him sideways, and then him and Sizemore start arguing over their position on the racetrack, and when he's spinning out, and just sends him back up into Tanhart and takes some more guys with him. I will say Ron Hunter in the number 30 machine. He actually did not make contact with the inside wall. He did a crazy good job of missing the inside wall. And I really don't know how he did it, because it looked like he was about to take a head-on shot right there into it. He's still got a little damage on his machine. Someone else that's had some tough luck so far in this heat. But the rest of these guys, they shouldn't be too torn up. Ethan, wait a second. Oh my goodness, Dawson. If I'm looking at this correctly, I'm not sure. Okay, my apologies. There a replay came up and it looked like Ethan Eckert was torn apart again. That was from the last caution. I do apologize for that, but anyway, back to that. Yeah, just a tough break again, and we're coming down to the thick of this right here. 9 laps to go, and it's got your kind of guys you expect to see up here: Kyler Wynn, Michael Guest, Grant Bolin, Justin Champagne, and then you have guys like Axel Smith, who's breaking into that Coke Series barrier. He's got Kerner behind him, Brown behind him as well, and then Nash Brambilla, someone very good at the next gens and money racing. I don't know. It'd be hard for Axel Smith to pull something like this off. But could you imagine if that green and white pickle car number 97 down there could pull this win off in this heat and beat the likes of Wynn, Guest, and Bolin?
Well, the winners of the heats so far, I think, been mostly names that we expected, including Cody Nagels, who won in heat number 4 here just a few moments ago. But, other than that, these guys that are getting in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, it was like Justin May last night. It was Adam Young here just a few moments ago in heat number 4. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a Coke driver or a professional driver, or even, it doesn't have to be the guy with the highest oval rating. It doesn't have to be the most accomplished guy on the racetrack. You just got to be in the right spot at the right time. And Adam Young was a prime example of that back in heat number 4. So he went from 17th to 5th on the last lap of the race. As long as you're in position and as long as you have a little bit of luck and a little bit of avoidance on the last lap, or put yourself just up front where you can't get past, where you can't get involved in that, I mean, it pans out well for guys that are going to be racing in the duels on Saturday. I mean, guys that, and this is no disrespect to them, but coming into the race, when you said, okay, 5 guys out of 30 make the duel race, a guy like Justin May, a guy like Adam Young, a guy like Axel Smith, they're not going to be the first guy that comes to mind. But we've seen it time in, time out in these 500-mile events. That does not matter. These guys make the features of these races, and heck, sometimes they even win the features of these races. We all remember a guy by the name of Lake Peterson. Here we go, 7 laps to go in this heat number 5 of the PGR 500 event. It's Kyler Wynn against Michael Guest. Boy, it's a strength on strength. Green flag back in the air, and away we go towards the banking of turn number 1. Wynn, as he has done all race, a good jump onto the bumper of Michael Guest. Goes the number 82. It'll leave Graham Bolin to the push of Axel Smith on the bottom. Eddie Kerner, I think, is going to try to leave Bolin a gap to get up. He will do just that. Graham Bolin goes to the top side, and now Axel Smith, as you talked about a moment ago, leads the bottom line onto the super stretch.
With the push from the 18 of Aaron Brown down there, got a solid group of guys. Cozy back there as well, along with Dalton Steele, someone been proven to be good in these next-gen cars. I will point something out as well. Ethan Eckert has found his way back on the lead lap. He was the lucky dog. Problem is, he's all the way in last position on the racetrack, losing the draft. He's going to need either a miracle or a caution to come out if he wants it. Look at the run by Axel Smith heading out of 4.
Yeah, huge run by Smith. He's getting a little too far up the racetrack, though. Aaron Brown's trying to struggle through it and push him. Smith out of shape just a little bit. It's going to move the run a tad, but not much. Smith up to 3rd. 6 laps to go. Wynn, Guest, Champagne, Bolin, Kerner now. Cozy jumps up. Top 6 is a who's who in iRacing oval racing, as they all are now up against a safer barrier. On the bottom, it's still Smith. It's Aaron Brown, it's Dalton Steele, it's Devin Maines, and a little further back, Stephen Luttrell has found his way forward. So is Evan Gilbert, involved in the first incident of the night. He's very much in this thing as well. Back down to 3, though, it is all Kyler Wynn, Michael Guest, and Justin Champagne.
Michael Cozy threw Nash Brambilla directly into the wall when he went up the racetrack, and I'm sure Nash is not going to be too appreciative of that. He might even show his displeasure. Axel Smith hanging in there, just riding too high up off the corner, off the yellow line out of turn 4, but he's still got that momentum, pushing 3 cars deep. Dalton Steele behind, trying to give Aaron Brown everything he can so he can push Axel Smith to the front. But up front, it is still Kyler Wynn with 5 laps to go.
You got to imagine in the cockpit of Axel Smith's car right now, there's a little bit of nerves. I know I'd have some considering the level of driver that's around him on the racetrack right now, but he's trying to hold it as pretty as he can. And for a moment here on the backstretch, he may just go to the point. It's going to be interesting here into 3. Will he get to the lead? Not quite. Down comes the top, the side draft. They will park the run, but Axel Smith got close. Oh, man! Justin Champagne takes the right rear of Michael Guest. The 21 going backwards. He's going to need some help. Win back to the top. He needs some help in the middle, and he'll get it in the form of Jackson Buys. 4 laps to go, and Guest now has to go back on the attack as Bolin goes to the bottom.
Bolin and Kerner linked it back together. Cozy got hung out as well by the likes of Ashbram, Billa, and those behind him. Cozy finds his way back, got that run once again. He's moved down to the bottom of the line. Bolin and Kerner are clear of Kyler Wynn, leaving Guest.
Trouble. There's a yellow flag, and it's way out back here. I'm actually struggling to find, it must be Alex Bonsignor that had some problems way out back, and we may not even get a look at what exactly the caution flag is here. Oh, man. It actually starts in front of him with Stephen Luttrell. No, not Stephen Luttrell. It was one of the other 82s. Apologies. Let's get back here to which 82 that actually was. Try to isolate it for you here because there are multiple. It's right here with Austin Halsey, Mauricio Marquez Ramos, a couple of other cars involved as well. So let's take a look at what brought out another caution. Man, this isn't a pack that's behind the leaders. And going down into 1, oh, Marquez Ramos jumps out of line. Halsey stays on the bottom. And does Tanhart go to the middle or? Oh, no. Dale Tanhart goes to push Marquez Ramos and timed it just a second too late. Gets in the back of him. Halsey gets turned off the bumper of the 38. Sedarius Percy, Michael Wingo. Oh, bad night's gone worse for those two as they're involved in this one. And then Alex Bonsignor in the 22 is going to come in really late there and hit Austin Halsey. So a tough break, but an incident way behind that intense battle for the lead we were talking about a moment ago. This happened in the second pack. Let's take another look at it here, but it looks like another miscommunication, a mistimed move for Dale Tanhart as he went to push the Marquez Ramos machine. You'll see right here. Oh, just timed it wrong. Got in the back of Marquez Ramos and Halsey, Percy, Wingo, Bonsignor, the unlucky bystanders in that one.
Yeah, just another misjudgment by Dale Tanhart here, trying to get up, push, and just a misjudgment. There's nothing else more to it than that. And I guess in the end, it works out because that helps some of these guys get back, caught back up with the field. Problem is that Dale Tanhart, I would assume race control is going to find him at fault for that and give him an end of line or potentially even a drive-through penalty if it is his second caused incident on the night. So, like you said, just bad to worse for Dale Tanhart. Apparently, Dale Tanhart, he's still in the race. He's still sitting in pit road getting fixed up, and just an interesting night for the 81. But if you want to focus it back up front, it's not a surprising group of guys up here. Still, Bolin, Kerner, Guest, Wynn, Champagne, Cozy. And then of your regular guys outside of Kyler Wynn, I'd say you got Ashbram Billa in 7th, hanging strong. Axel Smith, Kenneth McCullough in 9th, good for him. Aaron Brown, top 10. Sterling Thice, Jackson Bice, and then Cody Curran, currently the final guy in the transfer position. Dalton Steele going to be trying to take that from him. And we're going to be restart with 2 laps to go. This will be our only overtime, I would believe, right here. So this is going to be it. 2 laps to figure it out.
Yeah, 2 laps to go as we get ready to go into overtime. We'll remind you of the overtime rules. If the leader makes it to the white flag, then the race is official. We will race back under green flag conditions. No caution will be thrown on the final lap of the race if we get to the white flag. If the leader does not get to the white flag and there is a crash up at the front of the field, race control's discretion, a caution flag will be thrown and iRacing's scoring system will score the end of the race and allow us to find the finishing results here of heat number 5. So again, if we get to the white flag, forget everything I just said. We're going to race it out like normal. If not, we're going to go by iRacing scoring. We may be going by a moment of caution system as well in terms of iRacing scoring. We'll have to try to go back and determine where iRacing scored drivers at. So coming up to 2 laps to go. Top 3 are all drivers of the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. The top 5 are about as heavy hitters. This is about as big name of a top 5 as we've had in our first 5 heat races. It's Graham Bolin, Eddie Kerner, Michael Guest, Kyler Wynn, and Justin Champagne. Really top 6 back to Michael Cozy. In terms of widely known names, I mean, that's a who's who right there in the top 6. Ash Brambilla, Axel Smith, Kenny McCullough, you mentioned them, and Aaron Brown, really the top 10. And some of the heaviest hitters in the heat are inside the top 10. But Landon, I want to bring your attention to a guy that got bailed out by that caution. And as of now, he's the provisional pole sitter for Sunday's PGR 500, and that is Ethan Eckert. He's got a new race car. He is fixed up, and he now has an opportunity to drive 13 spots through the field, 12 spots, through the field. And at the very least, if his qualifying lap does not hold up over the next 3 heats tomorrow, he can at least have a safety blanket of racing his way in. He has an opportunity with 2 laps to go, but it's going to take a miracle for the driver for Nightmare eSports.
Well, I'm going to contextualize this a little bit. In the last race, Michael Triscaro restarted in the same position Ethan Eckert did, 25th. He ended up finishing 16th. Now, I know that's 3 spots short. It ended up being 15th with an EOL, but that's all he needs. All Ethan needs is 2-3 more spots than what Michael Triscaro got in the last one. And we saw the chaos that occurred on the final lap, the final 2 laps really of the last heat race. That could very well happen here, either in a bigger fashion or a smaller fashion. Time will tell. But like you said, Ethan Eckert, he's someone who knows how to get his way through the field, and he's going to be absolutely on it. Keep an eye on that 12 machine for Nightmare eSports.
Well, here we go. We could not have set the stage any better. A who's who of big names in the iRacing Oval community, whether super speedway or otherwise, have made their way to the front. There are only 5 spots available in the dual races, but 13 total will transfer into Saturday afternoon's events, whether the duel or the last chance qualifier. Graham Bolin, Eddie Kerner, Michael Guest, Kyler Wynn, and Justin Champagne are the top 5 as of right now, but will it stay that way? Green flag is in the air. The only overtime attempt of this race is underway. It's a good jump for Graham Bolin on the bottom. Does Kerner go to the top? They will all 3 get up. Michael Guest, Eddie Kerner, and Graham Bolin in front of Kyler Wynn and Michael Cozy. That leaves Champagne, Brambilla, and Kenny McCullough on the bottom. And boy, I'll tell you what, Landon, they're going to make a run at it.
They are making a run. Champagne with that push right now from Nash Brambilla. He's not exactly connected to him, and he needs to go ahead and work on that, but get himself connected. But watch out for Michael Cozy in the 99, 5th in line on the top. I doubt he's going to stay where he's at and stay content with it. He's probably going to hop to the middle at some point here and try and make a run for the win. A little bit of odd pushing up top between Bolin, Kerner, Champagne pushing as hard as I can. Guest, Champagne making the run to the bottom, heading out of 4.
Here we come back to the white flag for the final time. Potentially here in heat number 5, and the pushes are getting bigger. Out back, the moves are getting wild back around the transfer spot. Axel Smith was on the tumble. White flag, we're going to finish it right here. And as they climb the banking and 1, the jockeying around the transfer spot's only going to get hotter. Look at Kyler Wynn. They're going to side draft here into 1.
They're peeking to the middle. Michael Guest and Kyler Wynn. Kerner not going to shade it. Kyler's going to come back up. Aaron Brown to the middle, splitting out Michael Cozy. Win back to the top, split out 3 wide with his teammate Guest, the guy we assume he's working with. Aaron Brown now the only guy in the middle with Dalton Steele.
Back to 3, trouble. Ethan Eckert is involved. The 12 goes sideways. Shrek and Gost, others involved as they race back to the checkered flag. Cozy through the middle, side drafting hard on Brambilla and Champagne. Kerner to the bottom on Graham Bolin. A scramble back to the start-finish line in heat number 5. Trouble right around the transfers. Kyler Wynn, Kenny McCullough, Eddie Kerner wins, and it's a scramble out behind. And boy, oh boy, do we have some storylines here.
I'm not sure Kyler Wynn made it.
I don't think he did.
It's showing 13th. And if that's the case, Michael Cozy scraped in 11th, but I'm going to take a look at this here and see if he truly was 13th, because if not, I mean, what a turn of events in the last corner of this one. Kyler Wynn, he might be, it's going to be close for Kyler Wynn. I think he is going to be the last guy into the, it's close. It's close, Dawson. We're going to have to look.
We're going to have to go back and watch a replay for a moment here. We'll take a deep breath. First of all, a mad scramble off of turn number 4, and several of the heaviest hitters in the field got involved in the wreck. We'll take a look at where they finished in a moment, but for the moment, Eddie Kerner, a masterful move off turn number 4 to win this heat number 5. And for the man that's new to the Coke Series, I'll tell you what, that was savvy right there. A veteran move on Graham Bolin, a veteran of the series. Michael Guest, that didn't faze him at all. We'll see Eddie Kerner's Coke Series teammate Daniel Falkingham in tomorrow night's heat races. as he tries to race his way in. And I got to imagine that whole team's feeling pretty good, along with Falkingham right here, as Eddie Kerner burns it down on the front stretch.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That newly formed team of Six Karma eSports into the Coke Series. His teammate Falkingham, like you said, going to be racing tomorrow night. And what a great start. Eddie Kerner getting the win tonight. Falkingham definitely going to be one of the favorites in his heat. And, I mean, this was a thrilling race. I think anyone that watched the Coke Series clash last night at Daytona, I kind of saw some shades of that with these guys racing at the front. Obviously, it wasn't as wild, the crazy moves being made, all of them out back, but it was, at the end of the day, it was an event worth watching here tonight, just watching these heavyweights battle it out here. And Eddie Kerner, like you said, the new Coke Series driver, didn't look new. Looks like he's been doing this for 20 years, ends up getting a win.
Well, it's good that you mentioned Six Karma Esports, because they're going to have representation now in the PGR 500 dual races on Saturday, and what an opportunity it would be if they could get both their cars into the race on Sunday afternoon. A chance at some exposure, a chance at some early success for that team as they make their way into the professional level of iRacing. We're going to go back and watch the white flag, and stay with us here. Do not leave the broadcast yet, because there may be some post-race discipline coming here for this last lap, but let's break it down. And again, just like we did in heat number 4, we're going to go up top, because that's the easiest way for us to see, okay, what exactly happened on this last lap. So Graham Boland took the white flag with Champagne, Brambilla, and McCullough on the bottom. You're going to want to watch back around Ethan Eckert, because that's where the first wreck began here on the backstretch. Eckert is pretty close to a transfer spot right here. This is going to happen right around that final transfer. You see Brown to the middle, Steele, they're going to stack up big, and this is where the trouble begins. Let's see where it starts here. So they all get to the middle. Oh, Dalton Steele. Oh, man, it's Dalton Steele who's in one of the transfer spots that kind of sparks that first incident. Let's go up front now, because more stuff happened up ahead. You see Kerner go to the bottom. He makes the move for the win on the bumper of Champagne. Brambilla starts to drift up. Cozy comes together with Kenny McCullough. And where does the wreck start here? Look at Kyler Wynn in the 82. Oh, it starts with Cozy. Michael Cozy and Kenny McCullough. But let's see if it's just, are they already connected together? I thought they were. They make some contact right here, and then they're kind of glued together. Does Cozy come up? Does Kenny get pushed? A little bit of both. Looks like Kenny is getting pushed right there by Aaron Brown. McCullough gets into Wynn, who gets into Devin Maines. Stephen Luttrell just trying to find his way through it. And now what you pointed out, Landon, Kyler Wynn and Evan Gilbert is the race for the final spot. Let's see, Steele's going to come by. Watch for Evan Gilbert. It's going to be that white and green car. Where does he come into the picture here as Kyler rolls backwards? Oh, man. I mean, that's as close gets, and Gilbert gets him at the line. Evan Gilbert has eliminated Kyler Wynn, potentially, from the PGR 500. Remember, Kyler ran a lap good enough to tie for the second position on the front row. But much like Alex Coffey and Matthew Baker and several others, and including Ethan Eckert, the pole sitter, he's going to have to hope that that time is enough going later into the week. Let's watch it one more time here on the front stretch, and it's Cozy and McCullough. They get together that kind of spark this massive mess that happens on the front stretch on the final lap of this heat. Let's see here. McCullough, Cozy, Wynn. Oh, Aaron Brown, Stephen Luttrell. Kyler slides across the line, but it's not enough in 14th. We will await now any word from race control. So while we do wait, I'm hoping to hear something here pretty shortly, but while we do wait, I mean, chaos is to say the least, Landon, and some of the biggest names now either on the brink of being out, potentially even out in terms of Kyler Wynn, unless his qualifying lap holds up.
Well, if his qualifying lap holds up, but then again, we have to remember potential EOLs from this crash. And if someone in the top 13 gets EOL, that would knock Kyler in. But we just have to wait and see from race control, as you mentioned. But I think let's just go ahead and go through these race results here as we wait. Eddie Kerner with the win tonight in P1 for Six Karma eSports. Justin Champagne second, Graham Boland third, Nash Brambilla fourth. Michael Guest will round out the top 5 and advance to the duels. Everyone in that top 5. LCQ on down will be Jackson Bice, Aaron Brown, Stephen Luttrell, Devin Maines, Kenneth McCullough Jr., Michael Cozy Jr., Dalton Steele, and Evan Gilbert. Those are your LCQ drivers for now. That is emphasis on for now, because we do not know yet. We are still awaiting word from race control on any potential penalties from the rest of the two separate incidents that happened on the last lap.
So as of now, unofficially, the first man out is the defending Podium 500 champion Kyler Wynn in the 82. He was 5th off turn 4. He ends the race unofficially in 14th. Joshua Highball finishes in 15th with Austin Holsey 16th. Mauricio Marquez Ramos in 17th. Cody Curran in 18th. Alex Bonsignor in 19th. And another guy that may be holding his breath through the couple of hours tomorrow, and that is Ethan Eckert in 20th. Ron Hunter goes 21st with Axel Smith 22nd. Eric Papineau in 23rd. Dale Tanhart eliminated in 24th. Eric Stanley 25th. Ryan Schreckengost in 26th. Sterling Theis 27th. Michael Wingo 28th. Sidarius Percy 29th. And Steve Sizemore in 30th. So we're going to kind of go into a holding pattern here as we await any official word. Again, we're waiting for race control here, so we're going to go into a bit of a holding pattern as we try to get the official word for you. We'll put the unofficial scoring back up on the screen so you can see at least the unofficial top 5 and down to 13th with, as of now, Evan Gilbert remaining in the final spot, the final transfer position. But 5 heats in now to the PGR 500, and chaos, intensity, desperation, all words I used last night, they continue to come true. This race has seen some of the wildest finishes in a 500-mile event that I can remember, at least in the early stages, and we're not even close to the most consequential races of the weekend at this point.
Yeah, not even. And the heat races have been thrilling, each and every one so far, and topped off with this Wednesday evening race with the best of the best, some of the pro guys in iRacing. And now you introduce the controversy factor of this, considering one of them could potentially involve Michael Cozy Jr., who, as of now, is in, but could be EOL'd. Same news for Dalton Steele causing the wreck on the backstretch. Both of them are 11th and 12th. So what we need to point out here, Evan Gilbert should be locked into the LCQ no matter what, because he is in that 13th position. As far as we could see, nobody did anything wrong. Apart from that, you have Michael Cozy, the incident out of turn 4, taking out quite a few guys, one of which being Kyler Wynn. We simply don't know right now. We have your guys that are at least in for the moment, and we still await race control consisting of Michael Triscaro and Matthew Baker to give us some word on the true finishing order of this event.
Yeah, I'm trying to wait. We're trying to get confirmation here, and still nothing official, but we are going to look for some official word, and I'll try to work on getting that. I'm hoping that we get some here in just a moment. We're actually going to see if we can get a quick confirmation from race control on that last lap, just to see who is in and who is out, because this is a huge storyline now. Again, Kyler Wynn goes from in to out as it stands, but that might change here in a moment if we have any kind of discipline on the last lap. But an incredible race, an incredible 2 days of racing, and we're just getting started. A reminder, tomorrow night we'll be back with more coverage at 7:50 Eastern. We'll be back for heats 6, 7, and 8. You won't want to miss those either. Some big names still to come. I know tonight was a nice appetizer. Tomorrow, some even more big names coming to you in heats 6, 7, and 8. And I'll be back here for you on all 3 of those broadcast calls as well. Have a flurry of co-hosts throughout the evening. Going to get you reminded as we wait for race control here, and kind of in a holding pattern, I'll remind you the schedule for later in the week as well. On Saturday afternoon, we're going to take Friday night off. Reminder, we're going to take off Friday. Saturday afternoon, we'll be back here on PGR eSports starting around noon Eastern time for the Last Chance Qualifier races. Those will go green at 12 and 1:30 p.m. Eastern. A little bit longer race, a little bit higher stakes, and that will set the back half of each of the VRX Simulators dual races, which will take place at 4 and 5:30 on Saturday evening. So again, a reminder, noon and 1:30 on Saturday Eastern time, the Last Chance Qualifier events, and then on Saturday evening at 4 and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be the VRX Simulators duels, all leading up to Sunday afternoon, a special extended pre-race show. But green flag for the 2025 PGR 500 will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on PGR eSports, with a host of the best broadcasters, best drivers in the game coming to you from Daytona International Speedway for the Great American Sim Race. So we still await a call from race control, and I'm hoping we get
I do have a call.
Okay, there we
I
go.
do have a
What's
call.
the update?
At least for one, and this is still temporary, barring any appeals. Aaron Brown has received an EOL penalty for the contact and the crash coming out of turn 4. That is Aaron Brown, who finished 7th on the racetrack, currently penalized for the incident out of turn 4, taking out the likes of Kyler Wynn and a few other guys. That does now mean that Kyler Wynn is in the LCQ. Again, barring any appeals. There is an appeal process, and that I'm sure that will be explored. We do know right now Aaron Brown is speaking to Michael Triscaro and Matthew Baker up in the race control tower. So that is the current update as we stand right now. Aaron Brown out, Kyler Wynn in.
So let's go through it one more time and tell you who's in the duels and who's in the LCQs here. Unofficially now, knowing that call that was made on the final lap of tonight's race. In the duel race, and this does not change due to that call, these 5 men are in. Eddie Kerner, by virtue of winning the duel, Justin Champagne, Graham Bolin, Nash Brambilla, and Michael Guest. Those guys are locked in. That is for sure going to be the 5 that are racing in duel number 2. Here are the guys in the LCQ accounting for the penalty now to Aaron Brown. Jackson Byes, Stephen Luttrell, Devin Maines, Kenneth McCullough Jr., Michael Cozy Jr., Dalton Steele, Evan Gilbert, and Kyler Wynn. That's, again, very unofficial at this point. We're waiting on an official appeal. We are probably not going to stick around for the appeals process. That can tend to drag on as that discussion continues to be had amongst the race control tower between Aaron Brown and the race controllers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap up our coverage tonight here momentarily. If any other call is made, if any reversal is made, we will announce that first thing tomorrow in heat number 6 as guys are on track. So make a note for now. Aaron Brown has been effectively disqualified. That's not exactly what they're doing, but effectively he's been disqualified from a transfer spot. As of right now, Aaron Brown is out. Kyler Wynn is in unofficially here as we begin to wrap up our coverage. A fun night of racing. Heats 3, 4, and 5 proved to be outstanding. They lived up to the name. They lived up to the hype. And we have several big-name drivers that you're going to see on Saturday evening vying for their spots in the Podium 500. A reminder of our front row after tonight. Well, it gets a little bit bigger, actually. It goes from 2 to 3 thanks to some ties. On the provisional poll, headed to heat number 6, it's going to be Ethan Eckert for Nightmare Esports, a 49.107. A reminder, he did not make a transfer spot. He's going to have to hold his breath and hope that his lap is good enough. The 2 men tied for second now. Kyler Wynn with a 49.110 and Alex Coffey also with a 49.110. If that stays tied, we will have a qualifying a qualifying session, a dash for that final spot on the front row. And again, it's very interesting now. Kyler Wynn gets in that final transfer spot. Alex Coffey did not make it out of his heat race. He finished 16th. So going to be very interesting there to see who makes it in. If Coffey's able to make the race on time and Kyler Wynn then gets a transfer spot, it's going to be a very interesting storyline to watch throughout the week. Landon, fun to have you up here for 2 heats. You know, obviously you want to get your final thoughts here before we leave tonight. 5 heats in the books, 3 heats to go, and so far the PGR 500 week is absolutely living up to everything we anticipated.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely been such a thrill to watch, sit up here and watch and be like a part of driving and then spotting and then broadcasting, doing something involved in every heat so far. It's been thrilling to be a part of this and sit up here in the booth with you, Dawson, just a call. Especially this race we just had here, considering the names we had, the racing that was going on, and then everybody loves a little bit of controversy, right? So we have that towards the end, and it's just adding to the thrill and the excitement heading into tomorrow's races, which I believe I will be up here in the booth for heat number 7 as well with Austin Green tomorrow, and I definitely look forward to that. That's gonna be a ton of fun to keep an eye on. I think at least as of now, you know, we still have that like qualifying off, if you want to call it that, whatever little competition between Aaron Brown, Kyler Wynn, or not Aaron Brown, Alex Coffey, excuse me. I think that should be something that we should. Honestly, I know I'm kind of speaking off the cuff here. I think that'd be cool to kind of broadcast. I know it'd be like a 5-minute broadcast, but here you go. If it stays the way it is, we need to present that to people and in real time see how it happens, who is going to make it in on times. But again, that could all change tomorrow. There's still 3 more heats to go, and we have the guys like Daniel Falkingham who is insane at qualifying. Garrett Maines is still left to go. This could all change, and honestly, these results here can still change. Aaron Brown, like we said, as of now, is out. That's the exact verbiage from Michael Tristero, the race control. As of now, it's an EOL. So we don't know. If you want an update sooner, then the first point that we go on air tomorrow, join the PGR eSports Discord. We will have it set up in there for y'all to see. There's a whole list of information regarding the event itself, and any sorts of penalties, any of that kind of logistical information is going to be in there as well. Go ahead and get that. That link is in the description if you are interested. But yeah, appreciate you having me up in here, Dawson. It's been a ton of fun working with you in the booth.
Well, it's been a fun first 2 days, and can't wait to be a part of it as well tomorrow. And I'll have the reins for you tomorrow as well here on the broadcast. We'll see how the commentary lineups work out. Austin Green, one of our broadcasters, is actually racing in heat number 6 tomorrow to start the night. So we'll start with me up here. Austin may jump back up here. We'll have to see kind of how it shakes out over the course of the night tomorrow. 7:50 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be right back here at the World Center of Racing. Our final 3 heat races set the grid for Saturday's events as we begin to start to whittle down the field for the first ever PGR 500. Speaking of that qualifying off, the qualifying session, if you will, we'd already had some plans as it was to bring that to you live, obviously to be able to broadcast that to the masses and so that they can see in real time as we do who ends up on the front row, especially if the storylines stay as they are right now with Kyler Wynn in, Alex Coffey potentially out. If those guys have to go against each other and Alex Coffey has to lay down a lap to keep his race alive, absolutely. We want the masses to see that. So those plans are in the works and also will be, if necessary, should we need them tomorrow. As the qualifying aces, there's still a few more to go for Alex Coffey, Kyler Wynn, Ethan Eckert. Some breath holding going on tomorrow for them throughout those last 3 heats. We'll be right back here on PGR Esports Network tomorrow to bring you coverage of heats 6, 7, and 8. For my partners throughout the night, Matthew Baker and Landon Velicki, my name is Dawson Wise. We hope to see you back here tomorrow as we continue to set the field for the